If you keep them busy with basic needs, they will forget about the freedom they lost. Good evening and welcome. This is Face the Nation. Our topic of discussion today revolves around the manifestos of each political party. Discussing today the topic, we've invited 4 guests to our studios, including a presidential candidate. Joining us this evening on the show are Oshul Herath, presidential candidate, New Independent Front; Tharaka Nanayakara, representing the Samik Jana Balawegaya; Mr. J. Vijay Bandara, representing the NPP, as well as Mahinda Patirana, representing the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna. You too can join in as far as the conversation is concerned. The number to send in your messages is 076 656 5353. We are also live on YouTube. You can also send in your messages via the YouTube link, and subsequently we'll be taking up those questions to the panelists this evening. On to immediate right to pose questions from our panelist is Niresh Aliathambi, Consultant Director at Newsfirst. On to my immediate left is Nadeem Majid, who is a freelance journalist. So let's get the ball rolling today with Oshul Herath, presidential candidate, New Independent Front. Oshul, there are 39 candidates this time vying for the top job in Sri Lanka. Are you a dummy candidate? And why do you say that?
Because I'm not going to support any of them. And I have not supported any of them. And I'm very critical about every one of them. And the very reason I'm coming forward is because I don't have a choice there to vote. Because all of them have contested the so-called main candidates. And I have seen their manifestos, even though they have lost previously. And except Namal Rajapaksa, but I know Namal Rajapaksa for some time, and they don't have a single policy, because if you take Sajid Premadasa, his manifesto from 2019 definitely is not going to be the one this year. It's going to be a different one. And if you take NPP, 2019 it was Deshiya Apekshava, and with 120 pages. This time it's 260 or something.
233.
Yeah, and a different name. And if you go through it, some of the policy or steps they're going to take are different from then and now.
But don't you agree, Oshula, that the situation has changed dramatically since 2019? And there is a dire need for new manifestos to come into play.
No.
As far as the top job is concerned?
No, for economic development, maybe yes, but education, healthcare and other things, I don't think so. Because now, if it is the case, NPP in their manifesto, when it comes to private higher education, it's a very small chapter. They don't say what they are going to do about the private universities and etc. Whereas in 2019 they have said more than that. So I believe if they are really concerned about the economy and the current situation, they should write more about private higher education and how they're going to develop the private higher education and how they're going to support it.
But Oshul, my question is, usually, most often than not, in the Sri Lankan political context, when you see a presidential poll, it's always a 2-cornered fight, or it can be a 3-cornered or a 4-cornered fight. And the Elections Commission has already told that per candidate, the cost incurred by the state is approximately 200 million Sri Lankan rupees. So don't you think that you are wasting the public's money by contesting the upcoming elections?
No, I don't think so. Because by being critical about these so-called main candidates, I can at least show the people how they're lying throughout. I mean, all these candidates, let it be not the present candidates, but those candidates who had been representing those parties. We know Yahapalane Idiri Dagma, then Subanagatayak, then Saubhagya Dagma, all these things. None of them completed that. I mean, if they have achieved at least 30% of those manifestos, we won't be in this situation. So we have to tell, because if you go through these manifestos, it's like some sort of a fairy tale. It's a visionary statement, but they don't say how they are doing it. They don't say next year what will be the taxes.
So Ursula, if you look at the last few months and years of your political journey, we saw the manner in which how you filed a lawsuit against Diana Gamage, and there was a crowdsourcing fund that you launched, and you accumulated approximately around 900,000 Sri Lankan rupees for this cause. Have you launched a crowdsourcing fund for your presidential campaign as well?
No.
So how much do you intend to spend at the upcoming presidential election? Now you're just around 3.5 weeks away.
Yeah, what it takes. The thing is, first of all, I'm against this large sums being spent for a campaign, because this prevent ordinary citizens coming into politics. Now, Election Commission has approved almost 1.82 billion rupees spent for 30 days span, or 40 days maximum. That is about 60 million per day. So how are they going to spend it? This is a big question. I mean, let's say they spend it. Some of the parties ask for 3.4 billion, NPP asked for 3.4 billion, and whereas SLPP asked for 5.1 and them 4.2. So for 40 days campaign maximum. So I don't agree with that, because that prevents ordinary citizens, regular people coming into politics. Because if you ask a very good educated person whether they like to contest, how are we going to contest, how are we going to spend? That is the question they ask us. And we are finding very difficult to get good people come into politics as an alternative camp.
Right.
Therefore, we don't like this. And what we are saying is, we are going to do our campaign in such a way. As a presidential candidate, I'm going to change these traditions where they spend millions. And if you take these campaigns they are doing, they go to a city. They put 3 big canopy huts which can accommodate about 6,000 people. They transport these 6,000 people using 100 buses to this area, and they get. But those people who are transported and seated under this roof, they are already decided to vote them. So what's the purpose?
Quickly,
this is all a circus show for me.
Yeah. So very quickly, Ursula, before I move on to Taraka, you said that this is a circus show. My question to you now is, what are your chances of winning the presidential election?
It's like this.
Are you not in a losing battle?
It's like this. Already, we are hopeful, because the media itself says that there is about 40% floating votes, undecided votes. But that itself says there is 60% vote which has already decided. Our biggest challenge is to get people think, and we are working on that. And I plan to get somehow viral within the last 2 weeks with events being creative.
Right.
And if that can attract people to listen to me, what I have already published, I believe they will vote for me.
Thank you very much, Ursula Herath, presidential candidate. We'll, of course, Ursula, grill you later on the show with regard to the policies that you bring to the table as far as election is concerned, and what you would do if elected president, the 9th executive president of the Democratic Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka. I now move my attention towards Taraka Nanayakara, representing the SJB. Taraka, the manifesto of the NPP is out. Have you all copied properly, or have you all copied enough? And when is your manifesto going to be launched?
Samir, I would not want to respond to the first part of your question. I know it's just in jest. So yeah, my manifesto is ready, and it will be presented to the clergy tomorrow, and it will be formally launched on the 4th of September, along with our economic policy, the blueprint 3.0. And I must say, our policies will not come as a surprise to anyone, particularly in relation to the economy. Because as we see it, what should be addressed primarily in Sri Lanka is the economic crisis. When I say the economic crisis, yes, a sense of normalcy has returned from the time of petrol and gas queues, but we are far, far away from achieving economic normalcy. And we need to, as a country, plan out how we will in future not get back to the same black hole and how we have to get out of this. So in response to the prevailing situations, initially at the height of the crisis, we launched Blueprint 1.0, which outlined the need to go to the IMF, and in fact SJB was the first political party to canvass or to openly declare in Parliament that the situation cannot be cured without getting IMF assistance. And then after the government went into negotiations with IMF and with the current developments prevalent thereafter, we launched Blueprint 2.0, and we will not be diverging too much from our original principal policy framework as far as the economic policies are concerned. And whilst ensuring economic stability, we strongly believe in a sensible social security net, looking after the poor and the poor of the poor, people who are below the poverty line. So that is also priority, given that our economic policies revolve around social market economy, where the state will intervene only to ensure fairness and a level playing field. So our policies will be based on the general framework.
Right. Taraka, for me to just understand, let's rewind a little bit to the time that Sri Lanka was declared a bankrupt nation, and Gotabaya Rajapaksa was looking for a prime minister in the country. And the talk is that we all know already, it's in the public domain, that Gotabaya Rajapaksa had asked Sajith Premadasa to take over as the prime minister, and there was a meeting that ensued subsequently with Harsha De Silva, Iran Wickramaratne, Kabir Hashim, Sajith Premadasa, the governor of the central bank, as well as the treasury secretary. At that time, just after that meeting, Harsha De Silva tweeted that the situation in the country is very, very daunting and it's not going to be an easy task. So aren't you all happy in a way that Ranil Wickremesinghe took over the post of prime minister, then became the president of the country, and turned around an economy that your economic pundits once said that it's a very difficult task?
Shamir, no doubt, none of us disagree that the Gotabaya Rajapaksa's maladministration, if I may say, it's not misadministration or bad administration, resulted in utter economic chaos. And yes, Harsha De Silva, if you are quoting off his Twitter, I take your word for it. I don't recall
it's in the public domain.
Yes, I take your word for it, no doubt, which is a correct statement. Economic crisis is so deep that it was a very uphill task to revive it, no doubt. But that is not the reason that Honorable Sajith Premadasa did not take over the portfolio of the Prime Minister. We must...
No, but my question is, aren't all happy that the country's economy, which was in a dire strait at that time, has been revived by Ranil Wickremesinghe's administration subsequently?
Shamir, we are in politics as a party because we want the best for this country. So, economy, if it is revived from what was from the status that was prevalent during Gotabaya Rajapaksa's time to now, we are not going to be so selfish as to not to be happy about it. But
So
are we? But
saying...
no, I'm asking you: are we actually? That's what I said in my opening statement. Also, are we actually? Have we actually attained economic normalcy? Because you don't have fuel queues. You go back and think. Since you brought in this word of rewinding, it's a very interesting way of putting it. What was the price of fuel at the time of the crisis? 118 rupees a litre of petrol. Today it's how much? It's over 330. 64 rupees. So the supply and demand changes. Then also there was a power cut. We all recall. That's the most difficult thing that we all recall, because That is, I mean, where you and I come from, that might be the biggest problem we would have faced. But people had a problem of finding forget about 3 square meals, even 2 square meals. People didn't have work, daily wage earners didn't have work. So, but as the biggest example, people remember the power cut. They say, yes, now I'm giving, Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe's camp says he is ensuring power supply for 24 hours. Is this a favor done to the people? Are they giving electricity for free? Remember, if the electricity bill was increased by an exorbitant amount, I believe by more than 1/3, more than 33% in one go. Is this normalcy? And then they reduce a slight amount. And is this attaining normalcy? Are they going to say, or are you going to suggest that just because there's electricity or power for 24, I'm just taking an example, electricity for 24 hours, this is a wonder done by the president? That's just the basic duty of the government of the day. If people are not paying the electricity bill, yes, it's a different story. If they're giving free electricity.
Right. Thank you very much, Tharak Nanayakara, representing the SJB. We'll, of course, would want to know the policies of the SJB as we go along on the show tonight. Tharak, just brace yourself for that. I now move my attention towards J. Vijay Bandara from the NPP. Nice to have you back on board, Vijay Bandara, talking about the manifesto now, because it has already been launched. Have you been able to go through the 233-page long manifesto?
Frankly, no, but I mainly went through the chapter which deal with good governance and independence of judiciary. So then remaining thing, of course.
Yeah, so I'll make it easy for you, Vijay Bandara, because I went through the entire manifesto this morning, and there were some areas that I thought needs to be questioned, and that is why we are having an NPP representative on the show tonight. What is the view of the NPP with regard to parliamentary privileges?
Yes, that's a good question. Now, the entire, you say 230 pages, but almost, almost condition that we need first to achieve is ensure the good governance in Sri Lanka, without which no policy can be implemented even in future. So we will, the entire summary of this policy statement is we firstly restore the democratic system of governance, which is visibly lacking at the moment. And also we place the executive and legislature to a situation where they act democratically friendly manner. At the moment, people representative is meaningless when you're looking at the parliament and their conduct. And also their conduct, they come into power through a particular party, they go inside parliament house and they change. And they enter into various coalitions, disrespecting the people's franchise. Therefore, we immediately after the presidential election, once our candidate been elected, we have to go for a parliament election and restore two main institutions, executive presidency by the election on 21st of September. And thereafter we need to people-friendly and democratically elected cabinet, and then a parliament.
Right.
Then only the system is restored.
Right. So for me to understand, again, I drag your attention to the manifesto. Page number 194, it says in the last two clauses, let me read in Sinhalese and then translate into English for the benefit of our viewers. You all say in it, Mantri Varungi Thirubadu Rahita Vahana Balapatra Karme Ivatata. So that means that the duty-free permit that is supposed to be given to the member of parliaments will be removed.
Yes.
And then you all say in the next line, that's what really interesting.
You are reading from
194, page number 194. I'll read it to you, Mr. Juma, so it's easier for you to understand. Parliament Mantrivarunda Durakale Tuladi Ekvahanek Pamanak Labadima. Now, what does this mean? You're saying that you're cancelling the duty-free permit that is supposed to be given to the parliamentarians, and in the next line you all say that in a 5-year term that you all will give a vehicle to the parliamentarian. Aren't you bribing them?
No, not a bribing.
This is what is the manifesto.
It's a government control. I mean, if you give away a permit, which the member
so how do you all decide on Are you going to give a bicycle?
It
When you
will
say
be
vehicle, what does it mean?
not that, luxury vehicles for the public servants or parliamentarians. So it has to be decided, but it says what is the message
No, but
that
what
we...
is this? No, but
Yeah.
now you all
To
have done
reduce
the
the
233 pages
Yes.
manifesto. Now, for someone who's reading it out, would want to know what sort of a vehicle are you going to give, and why is the public money going to be utilized to buy a vehicle for a parliamentarian? Where are you going to find the funds for this?
This policy will not be
Won't be
implemented
implemented.
as soon as
It won't be implemented.
we come into power. Once we restore the economy, then only this will be implemented, right?
That's very interesting, no, Mr.
Yes.
Zima. You all have a manifesto.
Yeah, manifesto
And
in
then
for
you all say-
5-6 years, no?
So right. So you are saying, right, in this parliament it won't be implemented.
Most
in the
probably.
next parliament you all will be
We
implementing.
have our priorities. We have to ensure food security of people, medical facilities to people. Those are our priorities. Once we achieve only, we are thinking about these areas.
So this is
It's a policy we expect to implement once we ensure the normalcy for the people. Until such time, for sure, it won't be implemented.
But-
And also we will reduce
But
government
won't you all be
expenditure.
like President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, who wanted to incorporate the fertilizer ban, chemical fertilizer ban that was there, and he told the public at that time, this is what is in my manifesto, I'm just implementing it. That's why I got the mandate. And don't you think that you all will also resort to the same action or same decision subsequent to being elected to power?
I'm afraid this manifesto is for a particular period of governance.
Yeah, so that is
right?
for 5
And,
years?
Yes, we
Yeah,
have
it can't be more than
priorities.
that?
Yes, we have to priorities, and entire country knows that there are what are the fundamental needs of the people. Being a,
So then why do you all mention this? Now
So
you all
means-
have a good clause which says that the duty-free permits will be removed.
yes, it will be removed.
Right.
That can
And then
be
you all
done at
mentioned
once.
that. Then you all mentioned that in the second line that a free vehicle will be given.
we have
Are you all
tried-
also trying to bribe parliamentarians as we've seen in the past?
Not at all. Not at all.
Okay.
That is not our expectation. And also what we say is that immediately the
That's not there in that.
right immediately
is for you all
luxury
to
vehicle
communicate.
permit will be removed. That we can do. But whether to provide vehicles for ministers and all, whether I will take if I am become a member of parliament, I will take a vehicle or not, that's a different issue, right? That's a different issue. So
No, this is what is in the manifesto.
this is running for 5 years.
This-
So if we achieve the people benefit as a first condition, restore the good governance system and ensure people food security and health facilities, then after 3-4 years later, we'll be considered.
But better, Mr. Vijay Bandara, to mention that also in that clause, saying that this will
Everything cannot be
implemented now.
written.
Yeah, but
That
you all
is
have
policy.
233 pages. If it was 120 pages, I can imagine that you are saying that you can't write everything in the manifesto. When you have 233 pages, you are saying you can't have one line saying that.
Within the course of 2024,
Right.
do you think that this entire manifesto is going to be implemented? No, please.
Right.
So there are certain priorities,
Right.
and we have to set out.
Okay.
I mean, even if member of parliaments are doing good service and country come to normal economic situation, we can think of it.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we will give priority to this clause firstly.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. Vijay Bandara. I now move my attention towards Mahinda Patirana representing the Sri Lanka for Jana Peramuna. Mahinda, how long have you been attached to the SLPP, and is it from the inception in 2017 or 18?
Actually, thank you for having me for this talk show. Direct into a question, I'm attached to this political movement from 2005, actually. That was the first time I joined, as an active member of this political
So that was the time that Mahinda Rajapaksa was the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
How long do you know Mahinda Rajapaksa for?
You mean personally know me?
Personally, not on personal capacity, but how long do you know President Mahinda Rajapaksa for?
Personally, I came to know him around 2010.
2010.
Yeah.
But you've been knowing Mahinda Rajapaksa before that, when he was the Minister of Fisheries since 1994, or?
Yeah, but as a politician, I had some acquaintances of that
okay.
politician, and also I knew his policies and his opinions and all those and ideologies.
What is the position of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna with regard to amassing wealth, unaccounted wealth?
Actually, we are totally against what you call amassing wealth, and this is something under discussion in Sri Lanka. So many people are debating that people are amassing so much money and illegally. But I think it's a kind of a rhetorics thrown out by so many politicians. I mean, just to get away from the real issues. Okay, so I don't think this should be an issue that we must focus on this. I mean,
no, I think it's important to focus on this because I want to ask you this question. How much money do you think a politician in his lifetime save?
Actually,
in your opinion, if you're an honest politician, I'm talking about an honest politician. I'm not talking about a corrupt politician. I'm asking you because you are well-renowned. You've done so much for the SLPP since 2010, and you've been attached with Mahinda Rajapaksa since 2005. How much do you think an honest politician can have money in his bank account in his lifetime? Approximately, just
It's a very difficult question, Shamir, because politicians, if they are, if they do only the politics as a profession, I don't think they might amass so much money.
Okay. How much, in your opinion?
No, since I'm not a politician, I cannot answer that question.
Let's say 10-20 million?
No, I may not give an answer to the question.
Right. Okay. So let's put into perspective now.
Yeah.
Now, why I pose this question?
Yeah.
In the asset declaration of Namal Rajapaksa, Namal Rajapaksa has mentioned that he has given a loan to someone of 200 million Sri Lankan rupees, and he's earning 3 million as interest payment for this a month. Mahinda, can you please tell me how did the young Rajapaksa amass 200 million Sri Lankan rupees in the last couple of years?
Not in the last couple of years.
No, tell us, because I also want to know, because today the people who are watching the show would want to know how can someone make so much of money in a very short span of time. This is a big goal. This is going to be the revelation today on the show. How can you make 200 million rupees as a politician?
Yeah, actually he has declared this.
Yeah, that's right. Because it's declared, we know now. Yeah, so we know now. Yeah.
And he can show to the public how he has earned that money and the sources of that money. So I think he is engaged in a number of businesses as a normal businessman and politician. You know, politicians are engaged in businesses. So he is also earning money from his business.
What sort of business?
Actually,
he is your presidential candidate.
I do not know specifics of those business, but he's handling some business in the country. Yeah.
He's handling some business, but you don't know what the business is.
No, because I'm not supposed to know. Because
he's your presidential candidate.
No, my relationship to Mr. Namal Rajapaksa is as a politician.
But why do you want to blindly support someone for his presidential campaign when you don't even know how he has earned his money?
No, because since he is entitled to earn money as a businessman.
No, but what is the business? That I want to know.
That is none of my business actually. I'm not interested.
Yeah, but
you can anyway.
It may not be your business. But for the people who are voting for Mahinda Rajapaksa would want to know what his business is.
Definitely, you can have an RTI application and ask Mr. Namal Rajapaksa how did you earn that much money.
But
so that's very.
But today, Mahinda, it was the easiest way. Rather than putting an RTI, I thought you would know. That's why I asked this question.
No, I am interested only in the politics of Namal Rajapaksa, not in business.
Tell me about corruption. How do you all intend to fight corruption in the SLPP?
Corruption, actually, we are always against corruption. And when Mahinda Rajapaksa was in power, Sri Lanka in Southeast Asia, the least corrupted country. Okay, I mean, if you check with the indexes of that time, okay, if you, I think that is Transparency International. They publish their ranking. Okay, in check 2014, the least corrupted country in Southeast Asia. Okay,
Southeast or South Asia?
South Asia. Okay. So I think we fought against corruption, and we delivered in that sector. And it was after the change of the government that again this ranking came down actually. During the Yahapalana government, you can see through indexes, you can check with the internet, they are available, freely available. So again the ranking came down.
Right. Thank you very much. Today, everyone is watching the show. I'm already getting a heap of messages on the YouTube that Nadeem suggested earlier to open for the public, and we have people sending in messages via the number 076 656 5353 as well. The number once again 076 656 5353. Nirvesh Thambi is also clad with questions as well as
need to
as well as Nadeem. Yes,
there was a well, out of context claim that you made that Sri Lanka's ranking changed. The corruption perceptions index that you're referring to that TI publishes, it's actually the score that matters more than the ranking. And between 2012 and now, since the last time they changed the research methodology, Sri Lanka's score has been roughly the same, which means that there's been rankings have changed because other countries have been performing either well or performing poorly, but Sri Lanka has more or less stayed the same. Just to let you know,
right?
Because
so
otherwise that's out of context.
Shall I get Nilesh?
But yeah, you can continue. Yes, I just needed to make that clarification.
Thank you for that, Nadeem. It's important to get the facts straight. My question is to Mr. Mahinda Patirana. Now, you discussed this matter of amassing wealth, and we all know that Sri Lanka, the government of Sri Lanka went bankrupt, and the public perception is that much or a big part of this money is missing from the government. It has not been quantified properly, but the public perception is that a lot of it has been stolen. I'm sure you will agree with me on that. But in your view, how did the government go bankrupt? Was the looting of money a contributory factor at all?
No, not at all. Actually,
so there was no money stolen from the government?
No, not at all.
But there were only 45 million Sri Lankan, 15 million Sri Lankan rupees found at Gotabaya Rajapaksa's residence.
That was actually money.
18
million.
That was money supposed to be delivered to the people. I mean, as compensation for property losses, etc. So that was the money that found in that period.
So any president can have the public money in their house?
Actually, not in his private house. It was presidential secretariat.
So that's possible.
That's possible. That's possible. Yeah. And then coming back to your question, actually, how did you go bankrupt? It has a historical context, Shamir. Okay. No, long-term reasons, mid-term reason, and short-term reason. The short-term reason is the pandemic. Okay. Immediately after Gotabaya came into power in 2019, so after 3 months actually, the pandemic hit Sri Lanka. Then we had so many issues with regard to money coming to Sri Lanka.
The pandemic hit every country on earth, and very few of them went bankrupt.
I know. The pandemic hit every country, and Sri Lanka, but in every country there was no government like Yahapalana government. In the Yahapalana government, they had taken some 12.5 billion US dollars in cash, you know. 12.5 billion US dollars in cash. Those money had to be repaid when Gotabaya Rajapaksa came, actually the interest of those ISBN, and when money was not flowing to Sri Lanka in foreign currency, only we had to import and pay loans, okay. Then, you know, if you go to figures of CBSL, we have paid around 90 billion from 2020 to 2022 in US dollars. We had only 7.6 billion in reserves, okay.
So Mahinda, you're blaming the entirety of the bankruptcy on the previous government, the Yahapalana government.
Actually, the economy was the economy that we inherited was such that we could not do anything else other than, I mean, you know, when the money is not in real, practically not flowing, okay. So how do you find?
But immediately, Ms. Padani, immediately after coming into government, what you all did was to change those economic policies that you all have blamed for. You all withdrew from the IMF program. You all cut the taxes, which had a massive impact on the government's revenue collection abilities.
Yeah.
So these were all like within the first month and a half that the Gotabaya Rajapaksa administration came into power. And then after that, you all say, hey, there's no revenue, there's no space for us to do any work. But you all are the ones that cut like the revenue. You all withdrew from the IMF program. And so having changed the economic policies that were in place, can you then blame those policies for this thing? Because those changes did contribute to where the country ended up by 2022.
Yeah. In 2019, the last final quarter of that year, the economic growth rate was less than 2%, okay, less than 2%. So in that manner, an economy cannot run, okay. That is why Gotabaya came into power and slashed taxes, because slashing tax is the way to get economy back on the track.
But within, I mean, that's one way is, I mean, you can cut some taxes, but you have to have revenue to run services. But getting out that, I mean, within a couple of years of, you said that at the last quarter it was about 2%, but within a couple of years of Gotabaya Rajapaksa becoming president, it had gone to negative.
Yeah, because the pandemic
negative
came.
3.
Because the pandemic came after, then some were asking that why didn't you reimpose taxes after the pandemic? Actually, the government was in a dilemma. How do we impose taxes on a country which has been hit by a pandemic?
But taxes it's a complex thing, right? It's not like when you impose taxes, you're not taxing like each and every individual. There are groups. There are groups that you all can tax. There are groups that you can give maybe concessions. It's a complex affair. It's not a silver bullet kind of thing. And policy is very rarely a silver bullet situation. It is a very complex affair. And what bothers me is that it seems that even after the crisis and after all of this, that grasp of complexity is absent in the SLPP's sort of mindset. And when you talk about not being interested in the business interests of Namal Rajapaksa, that seems to confirm that. Because, you know, there's a very famous comedian who said, Robin Williams, who said that politicians should be like race car drivers. They should wear all the logos of the people who are sponsoring them and the names of the people who are sponsoring them so that the public really knows in whose interests they're working for. But you seem to not be concerned about those interests at all. And when you talk about corruption, we know that vested interests drive corruption, not just in Sri Lanka, all over the world.
Because it is not corruption that, I mean, that precipitated this crisis.
But if you don't know the business, how can you say that it's not corruption?
Me knowing the businesses of Namal Rajapaksa and the crisis that we underwent in the last few years, I mean, it's a two different things. Actually, you know, this crisis is a result of one, I mean, in 1953 budget speech, if you go through that, J.R. Jayawardena very clearly stated that if you spend more than you earn, you will definitely end up in a crisis in the near future. Okay, so that is the, I mean, that policy, I mean, that 1953 budget speech, okay, that status of affair did not change even after 50 years. Okay,
so this is the thing, right?
That is the long-term reason for this economic crisis. Then in the mid-term, we had loans taken during the Yahapalana government, cash loan, not project loan. Okay, so we had
exactly my point.
Then
right? Now, when you say for the crisis, let's try to simplify this as much as possible for the people listening. The position of people in your party and the economic pundits who are in your party, their position is that, look, during the Yahapalana regime, there was all this ISBs, international sovereign bonds, that were being raised. The country went into debt, and therefore we ended up in the crisis. The pundits on the Yahapalana side say, and you mentioned project and the COVID. Now, you mentioned project loans, right? The pundits on the Yahapalana side say, at that time also they said, in 2015 also when they came into government, they were saying, look, we need to raise these, we need to raise funds for the government through ISPs because of all these project-based loans that have been undertaken over the past 10 years, which we need to repay. And these project-based loans include loans for the Suryaweva Stadium, the Hambantota port and the airport, and also the convention center, which I'm not sure has had a convention since that youth summit for the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting way back in 2013, almost 10 years ago. So this is just a blame game that you guys have been playing for the past few years.
Economy
and you can then understand.
Economy was in very good shape when we, I mean, gave it to the Yahapalana government.
What is
but the external debt stock was,
external debt was very much in balance actually. The balance, I mean, went out of the way after these ISB loans. Actually, you know, in 2015, we gave an economy with reserved 8.2 billion.
Right,
okay, after 5 years, we got back 6 point. I mean, less than what we gave 5 years.
You were not paying the debt back.
Let's talk about the investments that happened between 2005 and 2015. You tell me the return on investment on these projects, so it's easier for people to understand how much of money that these projects have generated. Let's take a look at the Hambantota port for one example.
Hambantota port,
it costed 1.1 billion dollars to make. What was the return on investment on that? That had to be sold. The International Convention Center was built at a staggering millions of dollars was used to make that. Tell me the return on investment on that.
Hambantota port had started to earn an operational profit by 2014, and we were starting oil bunkering facility by that time. Then it was, I mean,
but in 2014 they wanted all the vehicles that were supposed to be brought to the Colombo port.
Transshipment. The main source of income was transshipment.
No, but tell me the International Convention Center, what was the money that was brought in? Let's talk about the Nelum Kulna, which is standing very majestically for the people to view. But what is the return on investment on that? So for us to understand, because now I remember when it was open, Maitripala Sirisena said that this was a white elephant, but then he went ahead and declared open it as the head of state, and the cost for that was $400 million. Tell me, what was the return on investment on all these projects, and why should we appoint Nama Rajapaksa, who was involved at all these projects, as the next president of the country, if that is the case?
You know, I do not have at the moment the details of all these, I mean, the specific of the project.
I will tell you easily. I will tell you.
No.
All going at a loss.
No. That's false. We added, during the 9 years Mahinda Rajapaksa was in power, we added to the economy $55 billion. You know, in 2005, please check with figures. I mean, in the internet you can find those figures. The economy was $24 billion US. Okay, 2005, 24. Then what is the value of our GDP in 2014? 80 billion, more than that. That means we have added 50 billion. Our
per capita income was 1,200 in 2005. But in 2014, we were able to got it up to
Right. So we'll come back to you.
3,508.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll come back to you. I just want
That
to
is
ask,
how we develop the economy.
Right.
All these, I mean, the results.
If the country was developed for such an extent, I don't think 2022 we would have gone bankrupt. Anyway.
Yeah, no, that is why I said the change of the government precipitated the, I mean, with so many, they went after Horualli. They did nothing.
No, I don't know, Mahinda, whether you were involved in government, but as a journalist in 2010, you all said that by 2016, Sri Lanka would be the miracle of Asia.
Definitely.
And you all will have different hubs about the export sector.
Yeah.
And look at 1 year after, there was nothing in the country.
Had we, I mean, not, I mean, traversed on that.
So,
Shami, if you don't mind, a couple of questions for Mr. Vijay
I just want to, Nadim, if you don't mind, please. Mr. Vijay Bandara, now you said that you can talk eloquently about the corruption and the governance points that have been mentioned in the manifesto. Am I correct?
Yes.
Or do you want me to mention the names also, numbers also? It will
Yeah,
be easier for
you
to
can name them.
It's easy for you,
your
right?
question.
Okay, right. So let's going towards the right. Here you go. Page number 198. So easy for you to understand. Page number 198. Were you able to find it, Mr. Vijay Bandara?
Yes.
Right. Now you all have mentioned in page number 198 that you all will have district committees with regard to corruption. Were you able to find it out, Mr. Zubana?
Yeah, go on.
District committees.
District committees for fighting corruption.
Yeah.
Is that also going to be implemented 5 years after, or is that going to be implemented immediately?
Not these things, you know, there are two ways of looking at. One is ensuring people's civil and political rights, which need no money. Secondly is ensuring economic, social and cultural rights. So these things comes under that title. That we need to generate money. Establish the infrastructure facilities.
No, but
yes, I'm coming to the question. Yes, I'm coming to the question.
Mr. Juma, so let's make it easier.
Yeah.
So for me also, it's able to understand, because when I ask you a question from this, when you're saying this is not going to be the priority, tell me what
This
are
is
the
going to be a
priority
priority.
area? What are the priority areas in this manifesto?
So the district committees are a priority area.
Dealing with corruption will be the foremost
right.
priority.
Okay, but a point in district committees, is it a priority or is it going to be implemented after 5 years?
Not after 5 years.
Okay.
Now we will dealing with
Initially you
corruption.
said after 5 years.
Yes. This district committee comes in. We have.
So why don't you all easy?
Let me answer. Let me answer.
Isn't it easier for you all to have this manifesto in 2029?
No. Let me answer now. We have to first commence something to doing to review the system. We have to commence now.
District committees tell me about that.
We, as a policy, we adopt a system of decentralization of the court system, right? That is need for the administration of justice. So dealing with corruption comes under that headings. Therefore, there is a constant and noticeable delay in the administration of justice system as at present. So we need to deal it, because our one of the most priority will be dealing with corruption. For that, we need to establish the independence of judiciary. That's I initially explained. Then we need to system, structure, institutional mechanism for that. In that, we are planning to devolve these powers in order to expedite administrative justice system. So this means
right. Okay. Now you are saying district committees will be appointed.
Yeah, district committee. What are their powers, and that has to be,
Right. Okay. That has to be looked at.
Mr. Vijay Bandara, it seems that, I mean, we were talking earlier about the SLPP's still maybe inability to grasp like the complexities of policy, but it seems that the NPP seems to be having this issue as well, because when you're talking about district committees, again, this is very concerning to journalists who work in this space and who write about these things, because people, policymakers, etc., have been talking about the issues with the justice system for a long time. There have been calls for decentralization, not through the setting up of new bodies by like district committees, but for example, very simple fixes like taking the duty of public prosecutor out of the Attorney General's department, making that independent, and then having a system of district attorneys, right, across the 25 districts. Now, that is something very
So we
simple
have
that people
introduced
have
that
been.
also, yes.
But so in addition to that, you're also going to have these district committees. So it seems that you're adding layers upon layers of bureaucracy without providing clarity.
Understand this
what
now.
seems to be
at the
missing
moment,
is clarity.
if any citizen to complain about bribery or corruption, they have to come to Colombo 7, right? There's only one office, right? And you need to have the first investigation factor.
So you're saying, just to understand, Mr.
Yes.
Vijaybanna, so you're saying 25 district committees will be appointed or established under a NPP government if elected to power to combat corruption.
Yes,
Right. Tell me, where is the money for this?
that is why I.
Right. And then also tell me, I'll make it easy for you to say it. So tell me, where is the money for this? And second, tell me, don't you think bribery should be a centralized mechanism, so there are no individuals taking money from all these little areas? Like, because of bureaucracy, it will be more easier for people to engage in bribery and corruption.
When we introduced 1978 Constitution, our population, and now we are in 2024, there's a clear increase of population. Therefore, centralization is good. But even for that matter, Court of Appeal and Supreme Court exercise fundamental right jurisdiction.
So you're saying centralization is good, but then you're saying manifesto is wrong.
As you say, that you suggest that centralization should be better, no?
We believe, from those who are in the corporate sector, we believe the more the centralized the function is, the more red tape there is involved.
No, that is not so. If you take the Attorney General Department, if you take child abuse case, corruption is one of the area, right? And the magistrate court has to refer that for the Attorney General's advice, right? Every child abuse case file has to come to Hulk's door. There are 30,000 odd files.
Right.
So
we have to address that issue.
Even why are you all having this additional layer of district committees, as you call it, when you could very simply devolve and decentralize the Attorney General's department and have a separate public prosecutor's department?
Not devolve. I disagree with that word. Decentralization.
You said devolve earlier.
That is there.
Yeah,
so you're going to
in
devolve
page number 233, Nadeem, they say that a Directorate of Public Prosecution will be established.
Okay.
Yes, that is there.
So now you're going to have a Directorate of Public Prosecution, then you're going to have district committees in each district in addition to it, and then there's also going to be the Attorney General's department.
Yes, that is our policy.
What it seems to me is that you have created about 2 more layers of public officials who can be bribed.
No, that is an anticipation until...
Because how can you guarantee that the people that you're going to appoint to these district committees, that they won't take bribes from criminals, from people who are committing graft to look the other way?
No, don't ask me whether people will commit crime or not. What I am saying is, you can't ask that. I can't answer that question.
Right.
People do commit crime.
Let's make it simple.
Now
let's say you all are saying that you all will appoint 25 district committees to fight corruption. Then today I had a lot of time, Mr. Vijaybanna. I went through your manifesto very extensively. In 205, you all say that every police station will have people-public relationship committees. That is in page number 205. Now, how much of committees are you going to appoint now before starting work?
No, at the moment, democracy is not works according to the wishes of the people. People's views are not heard. Even Parliament, it is not being represented. Now, what we propose is, we have to have, even we have that, even politically we have called equal to local government institution, Kottasa Sabha. Right? They are the particular decision-making process in respect of a particular geographical area. We will first listen to that own people.
No, because
that
you all have,
yeah.
But you all have, I don't know, Mr. Vijaybanna, whether you are aware or not. Do you know how many number of police stations are there in Sri Lanka?
I can give the, yes.
32 police stations in Sri Lanka.
Yes.
So are you trying to tell me that you are going to appoint committees for 432. This is, tell me, sir, this is not going to be implemented now, 5 years after.
No, even at the moment there are people's committee, no, with the police. At the moment there are people's committee. Yes,
of
people's committee.
course. So what is different then?
Different is that we have to introduce through a law, piece of law, this committee. This is a policy. So it's format and it powers and function, whether it is facilitator or whether it is supervisor.
But I think,
no, not later.
I think I understand I think I understand where you're coming to, and this again is very concerning, because it seems to me that what you all are intending to do is to undermine or encroach into the jurisdiction or the areas of the provincial councils and the local government authorities.
No.
Because it seems when you say People's Council, District Committee, all that, what it appears that
no,
you say People's Council is that it's going
we
to
can
be...
mix them. If whatever you does in respect to particular province, the provincial council election has to be held. That also we have told. Once those are established, right? Those will be, policies will be implemented based on the existing mechanism to certain extent, then reforms will be introduced.
Right. So, Taraka, just for us to understand, what is the policy of the SJB regarding English education for primary upward students in the country? Because this was a system that was there before SWR Bandaranaike brought in the Sinhala-only policy in Sri Lanka. What is the policy of the SJB on this front?
Shamir, in broader sense, SJB is all out to encourage to create a global citizen. And an essential component of this effort would be to inculcate the capacity to handle international languages, particularly the English language. As of now, we know English is a subject in the curriculum from grade 1, I believe, to ordinary level and even at the A-level stage, but we are well aware of the difference of the quality of teachers available probably at Royal College Colombo, which is a premier government school, and Mahavidyalaya in the northwestern province or
so how do you intend to bridge this? Now there definitely is a gap.
Correct.
Because it's easier for you to come here today, Tarek, and say that we will implement and look at this in a broader perspective because we want to make the future prospects of Sri Lanka global citizens. But how do you intend to do it? Because right now we have a teacher shortage, we don't have teachers who speak a good command of English. So how do you all want to make a global citizen in that respect?
So ideally, Shamir, the basis, we believe in increasing the government, we wouldn't call it expenditure, but we would call it investment in education. But of course, the next question you will pop to me is, we are in a crisis, how do we do this?
Well, not exactly the next question I want to pop to you, because this is also an issue, right? When you're talking about investment in education, people either tend to look at just the infrastructure. Even during Mahinda Rajapaksa's time, there was the laboratories that were being opened in all of the schools.
Correct.
There were these things. But then the human resource development side of it tends to be entirely ignored.
Correct.
Right? One is you need to have proper educational facilities for educators, and then the other thing is you need to pay an attractive salary in order to retain the best educators, right? Because let's be honest, government schools are not competing with some of even the international schools that are out there in terms of the quality of curriculum,
In terms of the quality of curriculum,
education.
or are you talking about the facilities?
Facilities as well, and also in terms of quality of curriculum, right? You see,
No, but
do you believe
what
that the
is- what is the
curriculum
plan?
What is your
currently
question?
like this?
Yeah.
No, what
Your
I'm saying is,
question, I'll
yeah,
respond
the
to your
question, the question is like
make
you're thinking about all of these. When you talk about investment,
No, I'm not. You're suggesting.
You say
you're
investment.
suggesting that it's
Your
infrastructural. I never
your leader has
spoke about
your leader has been going to schools around the country and giving what is essentially infrastructure, right? Whether it's smart boards or this thing. But where is the plan to introduce smartness into the classroom itself?
Yes.
Outside of this.
Now, when you say he has been going around the country introducing smart classrooms, smart class boards at least.
Oh yeah, gifting smart boards, yeah.
Yes. This is done in his capacity as the opposition leader, which is not duty bound to do, which is not funded by state funds. So this is setting an example of our commitment to uplift education. If you are of the opinion that it does not contribute to the education or upliftment of the standard of education, that is your opinion. But I don't agree with you, because there are schools which Sakwala, the educational program, has reached out, which had not even had access to a basic rudimentary computer, where we have brought in the technology available in developed countries to some of those schools. But yes, of course, investment in education doesn't mean only infrastructure. That is a preconceived notion of yours. That is not our policy. This essentially, I agree.
Going by
I
the
agree.
historic propensity of, I mean,
Members.
members.
Premadas has not governed before. He has
been in government.
He has been in government in charge as a cabinet minister of a particular subject.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that he has directed policy as a leader.
So as a member of the cabinet, he bears no collective responsibility for the previous cabinets that he's been part of?
Collective responsibility is a very wide concept, but when it comes to the creation of the policy, the investment you were talking about, your examples you cited were the Mahindodaya laboratories.
Yes, one example. Yeah.
Mind you, that is not a project of a cabinet that Sajid Premadasa was part of. So getting back to the core issue.
A project that the cabinet that Sajid Premadasa was part of, the Langama Pasala Hondama Pasala project. How successful was that? What are the metrics for measuring that success of that program?
So yeah, Langama Pasala Hondama Pasala was a concept where we have to understand the core issue that we are facing. There's a issue. There's a huge competition to admit children to so-called popular schools. Not only in the Colombo district, not Royal Visakha, Ananda, all those.
Oh no, all around the country.
Yeah, all around the country. So we all agree about that. So in essence, it was a project where it was aimed to empower local schools in a, say for instance, we picked if I remember correctly, schools were chosen from every divisional secretariat division. About 3 schools were chosen on a geographic basis to be developed under this project, so that the competition for the so-called popular schools are.
No, but what was the question was, what was the success of that? How did you measure the success? Was it successful?
I believe it is successful if the parameter. I don't have data on that. I don't want to answer a question without having the data.
Let's go back to my earlier question.
I believe it is successful.
With regard to bringing in English education, is it something that Sajid Premadasa is looking at progressively, and in the event the manifesto is out, will we see be at least mentioned on this at the manifesto?
I can't assure you about the contents of the manifesto right now, because I have been involved in certain aspects of policy, the youth policy, etc. But
But don't you think this is important?
Yes, I certainly think that it is important. Not only do I think that it is important, but I firmly believe that there will be a strong commitment from this JB.
Right.
Because
so what about the NPP? Mr. Jibana, do you think that you all believe in English education for primary students onwards, upwards?
Yes.
But why? So you all have not mentioned that in the manifesto.
No, the English education is a global language. I mean, it has to be facilitated. Yes, certainly we are not against such a project. We endorse such project.
Right. So, Ursula, with regard to the long queues, today I happened to go to the passport office to get some work done. And when I looked at the queues, what struck me at the very instance is, how is President Ranil Wickremesinghe even going to win the elections? Because you have long queues What is the queues that he's referring to with regard to not having in the country? Look at the 500,000 plus electricity connections that have been lost in the country. And if you multiply 2 individuals who have voting rights in that household, that comes up to approximately around 1.5 million people who would not vote for Ranil Wickremesinghe at the upcoming elections. What are your thoughts when you look at these long queues, and how would you arrest them as the next president of the country?
My thought on that is 2022, the year we saw queues. At that time, the rates of commodities was affordable. What was not there was the commodity. I mean, whatever the fuel, there was a shortage. But right now, it may be there, but the queues are not there because it's not affordable to the people. They can't go and have the amount as much as they want. If you go through the imports, the consumption has reduced. And and I don't think Ranil has a chance of winning. Only reason we talk about Ranil in my campaign, because to show in contrast.
So you say Ranil Wickremesinghe is not going to win. If so, who is going to win?
It depends. For me, there was enough reasons not to vote them during these things that came out during this discussion. And for one thing, I want to correct few things. Sri Lankan external debt from 2005 to 2015, Mahinda Rajapaksa has taken $30.66 billion US dollars. And Maithripala Sirisena has only taken during Yahapalana government 13.8 billion, whereas Gotabaya Rajapaksa from 2020 to 2022 has taken 1.8 billion, having a pandemic in the country. And the other thing,
but I'll come to you to respond to that, okay? But not now.
And with regard to the question raised about that vehicle thing, I heard what Anurag said about that. What he said was he's not going to give permits for MPs, but what he said he's going to give an official vehicle for the tenure of the MP. So that, because for a fact I'm trying to get ordinary people into the parliament. So they won't be rich enough to have their own vehicle. We can't expect them to go in a bus or a push bike and do the thing. So
why not?
What?
Why not?
Because the efficiency is not there.
No, one of the biggest reasons that public transport is so bad in this country,
it will take some
you
time.
Don't get a single politician traveling regularly by bus or train.
Understood. But you can't do it overnight. So what he said was like official vehicle given to the OIC of the police station or the divisional secretary, that vehicle will be given to the MP.
So you're saying that?
No, I'm saying that because even if I come in, when I come to power, when
you'll also do the same thing.
Huh? No, I will give MPs a vehicle for them to work, because they need to go.
But Mr. Herath, again, this is looking at.
It's a practical thing.
No, my issue is this. Let's be pragmatic and practical, right?
Like and not luxury vehicles.
The problem is whether it's luxury vehicles or not. What really sort of bugs me is that there's a lack of understanding of complexity, or either that, or you think that it doesn't play well to the gallery. This applies to all of the political parties, because with vehicles, let's say you're giving a vehicle to each of the 225 MPs. The 225 MPs come from very different parts of Sri Lanka. The requirements are different. Are you going to give the same vehicle to each MP?
Yeah.
Is it going to be different categories? Because some areas,
this
like for an MP in the hill country, from an hamlet in the hill country, will have a requirement for a four-wheel drive, let's say.
Yeah, I know.
An MP in an urban setting with access to public transport will not require a vehicle at all. So my question is, are you all serious about governing?
Yeah.
Because your policies don't seem to take these things into consideration.
No, I will tell you. Now, this is not the first time. We have seen back in 2005-07, that era, safari vehicles were given instead of permits to all MPs. They were given Indian Safari, which is about 700,000 those days.
At that time.
At that time, they were given.
Oshala, tell us a little bit about when you were elected.
Yeah.
I'm presuming you have not already accepted defeat.
No.
So you also have your hopes high.
Yeah.
Who is going to be in your caretaker government?
Caretaker government until the next parliament.
So
Yeah, but I'm going to dissolve the parliament.
yeah,
as
so
soon
when
as
you
I come
dissolve
to power.
parliament,
Yeah.
until the parliamentary elections are on, you have to have a caretaker
Yeah,
government.
yeah, I
in
understand.
place.
I don't.
So
I will
who's
not.
going to be?
I will not use this. Cabinet will be there, but I will appoint an entire 30 secretaries for the ministries whom I can trust and whom I will get the work done. I will not let the ministers do the work. I will make sure that the secretaries of the ministries, who are actually the real responsible people for the money, they are the.
So you're going to have the same cabinet as
No,
now.
I can't. There's nothing much I can do because I have. If I have to select from the 225, then it's the same whether you use this or that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to appoint very qualified individuals as the secretaries.
So you'll have
Well,
30
but the
ministries.
secretaries do have to follow the instructions of the ministers.
No, secretaries comes under the executive.
Yeah,
That happened. If you go back to 2010 and 15, the biggest problem the minister had, the
Practically,
ministers
are you
had was.
expecting that?
Huh?
Practically, are you expecting the secretaries of ministries to ignore their ministers?
Practically, it happened in Sri Lanka when Mahinda Rajapaksa was in power from 2010 to 2015.
Right.
I was an advisor to one of the ministers, Rajasena. At that time, I was working in the fisheries
Right.
ministry.
Okay.
The secretary was answering to the president, not Rajasena.
So Oshala, just to look at your political career also,
Yeah.
you were a staunch supporter of Maithripala Sirisena.
2015, yes. And I was one of the people who went to Supreme Court when he did the constitution crisis. Still that case is pending and I was the first to go there.
Right. So tell us, with regard to this caretaker government that you would be appointing, we always ask this question from the NPP as to tell us the individuals who is going to be in this caretaker government and caretaker ministry.
I know that.
Today I would ask you, Mr.
You're not asking.
I'm not going to ask you that today. I'm going to ask you a different question.
I came ready to answer that question. Right?
My question to you is, Oshala, tell me, who is going to be these secretaries to the ministry? So people have an idea whether they are genuine or whether they are not genuine, whether they have integrity, all that and more.
I will get talented people.
Yeah, easy to say.
No,
but
no. For one, I will appoint Dhammika Pereira as one of them. And I will get similar.
You are going to appoint Dhammika Pereira, who shied away from contesting the election.
He's good for the secretarial post.
Have you already spoken to him?
Huh? You don't need to talk to them. You need to give responsibility. He has already was the secretary for transport once, and he was there. I've seen how he works at the BOI. But the thing is this: they also like to work independently from the politicians. If given the freedom,
the transport system.
No. That was under Mahinda Rajapaksa. They cannot function. Forget forget
let's say, okay, you have one person.
No, there are so many others.
Forget Dhammika Pereira.
No, actually, I have a list. I didn't bring the list. I did prepare this list back in 2019.
But I'm sure, Oshala, you know at least.
Yeah, I will get
five
Maya
names.
Dunne. I will get Maya Dunne to come. Definitely he will come. Sarad Maya Dunne. Then I will get people like Krishmar Varnasurya to come.
Krishmal is with STP.
It doesn't matter. My party is for direct democracy. We are there to change the constitution of one day to a different system. And where
What is your policy on digitizing the country's economy?
It has to happen.
How? How? What is the plan? Now, digitizing a country's economy is easy to say.
Yeah.
But how are we going to do it?
But before that, there are so many other
No,
things. No, I will answer to that question.
Those are important.
No,
but right now, on this discussion, I want to know how do you intend to digitize the country's economy?
To me, a president is a manager who will get the work done from talented people. The problem with the current presidents, all these Maithripala Sirisena and all that, they think they are the professors of every field.
So you don't know how to digitize the country?
No, I know how to digitize. I know. So we have to get the system implemented. Now we have national. No, we'll get the national ID card. We'll get the national ID card number tied with everything. Already it's tied with the bank accounts, the loans, and everything. Likewise, we need to tie it up with every other thing. Let it the license, the vehicles, and all that. For one example, because we don't have a digitalized system, as you were talking about unaccounted wealth. You don't whether this unaccounted wealth is. One of the first things I'm going to do is I'm going to audit all the car sales from Kohuwala to Pamankada, where I see Rolls-Royce, Bentleys, which are unregistered parked. If you go near Isipatana, there's a car sale where you see Ferraris and Lamborghinis are parked. So these are how they're going to, they're keeping their black money.
But Ursula, isn't this the very problem in Sri Lanka? Because when Gotabaya Rajapaksa was appointed as a president, you know where he went first?
What?
You remember, he went to the Manning
No,
market.
I'm not going to go and audit that. I will get the
Then he went to the RMB.
Yeah.
Now,
no,
so
he did
that
lot of,
managing
no,
the country.
there was a lot of mistakes. No, he did. Now you.
So tell us, Ursula.
No,
tell
yeah,
us.
you said coming to Gotabaya, you said Gotabaya's tax revisions. That is one thing that collapsed the country. It's not the revisions. Everyone has benefited from that. You also must have benefited. Now we are paying 36%. Yeah, 36%. When you are getting about even 308,000 something. Above you pay 36. But before that, for up to 250,000 living allowance.
What is your plan?
Yeah, my plan is I will go back to that same system, but I won't stop.
18%?
No. Every 3 million, 0 living allowance. That means 250,000. Next 250,000.
What is the loss? What is the loss of revenue?
No, yeah, that won't happen because you know why? I won't stop there. I will go to a tax bracket up to 60%, where any person getting more than 3 million income will have to pay 60% tax. Don't laugh at that. Do you know why?
No, I'm not laughing.
No, I will tell you why. No, I will tell
that
you
will
why.
be the highest taxation
No, it's
from
not.
the region.
No, it's not. It's not.
Global
It's not. Global it's not.
Mr. Hera,
Belgium, it's 79.5.
Yeah.
Finland, it's 66.5.
Belgium, what is? Ursula, tell me. I want to know Belgium. How much is the
I will
hourly rate?
No,
I want to know.
Before that, I will have
no, Belgium. What is the hourly rate? Hourly rate for a person.
No, let me justify why I say that. Person
Ursula, it's easy to say.
No, I will explain.
60%. Yeah, tell me. Yeah.
Person
Belgium, how much is it? Now you're saying 70. Tell me.
See, I don't go through all I got the rates, and I will tell you why I got the rates. If a person earning 3 million per month is equivalent to $10,000, that is a salary that is earned by in these countries, developed countries.
Yeah.
So I don't find it is unreasonable.
Okay, Mr. Hera, I'm not saying it's unreasonable, but
Yeah. Because
I want to see how much
instead of
money
putting
you can
that burden-
actually.
Yeah.
I want to see how much money you can actually collect this way, right? How many people in Sri Lanka? What percentage of the population is actually making over 3 million a month or 3 million?
So I think everyone running with one V8 and one
But that is wrong
BMW.
But then-
No,
but
I'm not
then-
wrong as I'm saying. I calculated. No, I will tell you how it increased.
Yeah.
One of the presidential candidates said he is having a monthly income of 16.5 million.
Yeah.
The current calculation, he pays about 5.8 million rupees as tax in that. With my thing, he will have to pay 9 million as tax. So there are so many, not him. Anyway, the tax is the tax income is gained from a very limited number of people even now.
But Mr. Hera, the thing is, even in the more developed countries, as you say, right, the issue that they have the high tax brackets at the high end.
Yeah.
But
They stop in Sri Lanka. They stop at 24. While Gotabaya was there, Ranil is stopping at 36%.
But the issue that they have as well.
60%.
Maybe after 30.
Yeah, Mr.
3
Hera,
million.
Mr. Hera, the issue that they have as well is that you can't charge it as traditional income tax because a lot of these people don't sort of make it at like the salary level, right? If you're for an entrepreneur, for example, you'll make it as like you'll have your net worth against which you will like credit cards, etc., and that's how you spend, and then you'll cover it with this thing. So people have creative means by which to skirt around.
Even now it's happening. No.
You know it's happening. So what I'm saying is, what is your plan to address that issue? Because even now we're seeing the issue, even with the increased taxes, the lack of capacity in the Inland Revenue Department has caused.
It's not the lack of capacity, because they're corrupt. No, we were there in front of Inland Revenue on the 1st of this year, and we saw the people bringing hampers, cakes to the Inland Revenue Department.
No. That's a very good point.
Until you get rid of the corruption, Now, now the police station.
Also, that's a very good point about inland revenue being corrupt. But then, if you raise the tax, the rate from 36 to 60, do you expect this same inland revenue department to collect those taxes?
No, we will have system in place now.
You're talking about cakes being brought in, but I'd say the whole bakery will come in if you're going to charge.
No. We will have I will take a different department. Take police. Now police is highly corrupted. We know every corner. I don't know how the NPP is going to stop corruption there. If every traffic light, if they stop, but people does is put 1,000 rupees or something within the license or the insurance, and this is what people do, general people. So this has to stop.
Do you do that?
I don't. I never have bribed anyone in my life. I have never bribed.
So tell us when you have.
So my solution to that is I will give rewards to whoever get this police person exposed. For example, we see people come with videos on social media, but they are not rewarded. But if we really reward them, but before doing that, do you know the salary of a police constable who is 6 years in service? It's about 58,000. For last 3 months, they were given 25,000 batta, but from this month they are uncertain whether that is they are getting because it is not approved.
No, but based on the tax system that you're saying, based on the tax system you're saying, even if they earn 100,000 rupees, they'll be ending up getting 58,000 rupees to their hand.
No, why?
What
do you mean?
So when you impose a tax of 60% on salaries,
they are not earning 3 million per month.
You're saying over 3 million per month?
Yeah, only I'm
that of course you'll have to find only a niche market in Sri Lanka.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So every doctor, every consultant, if you roughly calculate, you go to private hospitals, right? They see about 100 every
so
doctor.
Tell me,
but Mr. Herath, again, the issue is,
Oshal, for me to just understand. So over 3 million a month who earns, they have to pay 60% tax.
Above that.
Yeah. So less than 3 million?
Yeah, I will give you the table. I have published this on my Facebook also.
Yeah.
No, you're talking about doctors who earn more than 3 million.
No, this is the complete table. You can see the tax slabs and everything.
Right. No, I'll take it. I'll correct it. No worries.
But Oshala, even now, the doctors are leaving the country because they say the taxes are too high.
Now those consultants who are earning those are the doctors who are in the peripheries and all that. You know the basic salary of a doctor right now. SL2, they come under the category, the basic salary as of June is 54,219 of a doctor. Why should they work in Sri Lanka? Whereas if they go to Australia, Singapore, 120 per consultation.
Right. So I want to ask Mr. Vijay Bandara. Mr. Vijay Bandara.
So their salaries has to be increased. This is a table how I'm going to increase that. Within a month.
Yeah, so you can keep it with you, so don't worry. I just want to switch to Mr. Vijay Bandara. Mr. Vijay Bandara, I was talking to a few people today when I was at the passport queue along with the people, and I asked them as to who they would vote for at the upcoming elections, and most of them told me
NPP.
They did not say NPP. They said they have not yet made a decision. What is the plan you have for the undecided voter now?
Yeah.
Because this 230 pages won't work for them. No one is going to sit down and read this.
That's true. Now we have our campaign, we will have our public, we will address them, so they will decide when before 21st of March. We don't have
what is the plan for
any
them?
specific plan to mislead them and get their vote. It is up to them to understand. So we have published our manifesto, and we will have meeting every rural areas.
So when I asked this question, one person told me, even if they want to vote for the NPP, they wouldn't do so because of the immaturity and inexperience they possess with regard to governance in the country.
No. Is there a governance at the moment, democratic government in this country? You are talking about immaturity of a future government. What is happening right now around the country? Is the parliament is disciplined? Is the cabinet is consistent with regard to representing the people? If 225 members who have been elected by the people, are they listening? Are they representing the people voice of the particular area, that is what is lacking. Then you are talking about, whoever who told you, talking about immaturity. So what do you mean? At the moment it is not working. So you need a party who is disciplined and who is not corrupt to get into power and show this. Now, at the moment, only stable and disciplined party is the NPP.
Taraka, the SJB has been the main opposition party in Parliament.
Correct.
However, with the disintegration of the ruling party in 2022, the NPP seems to have risen dramatically over the last 2 years. Isn't this a sign of severe weakness as a main opposition party?
No, I would see it as Niresh, a political development where the ruling party after 2022, governed led by Gotabaya Rajapaksa and SLPP, having lost the public confidence in 2022 after the public struggle or the Aragalaya, people have been looking at alternatives, and SJB clearly is the principal opposition party and is the driver of the largest public support. There's no doubt about that. But what you see is that the support towards the SLPP being dwindled to the benefit of certain other parties, NPP included. However, an equation, now we are just 3 weeks to the election, 3 weeks plus, and you will get your answer on the 22nd early morning. And I firmly believe that as the lead opposition party, not only in Parliament, also on the ground, SJB will succeed in having its candidate, Honorable Sajid Premdas, elected as the president.
Tarka,
so interesting.
So you all also think that Andukumar Dissanayake is going to be elected as a president?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So who is going to be in the caretaker government of the NPP?
Once a president is elected in terms of the constitution, president's powers and function derived from black letter law of the constitution, conventions and past practice.
So how is it going to happen? Tell us practically.
It will be according to law. I don't have to say exactly what will be happen. According to law, I will say according to what is possible, right?
Yeah. What is he going to do? Tell us. I don't want to know what is going to what is possible. I want to know what will Andukumar Dissanayake do after he is elected president.
Yes. After he is
elected. On the 22nd morning, he goes and takes oaths as the 9th executive president of the country, hypothetically.
Yes.
Then what's going to happen?
He will remove the existing cabinet.
He will remove it.
Yes.
Okay.
And there will
who's going to be in the caretaker government?
He will appoint a caretaker government, possibly with 4 or 3 ministers. That is one of the possibility, right? And then, as Ranil Wickremesinghe now right now do 2 ministers was have to be.
So wait.
Let me explain. If you don't be
no problem. I will let you explain. No problem. Now you are saying he will appoint a cabinet with 3 or 4 people.
One of the possibilities, right?
Okay.
We have many ammunitions.
That is you all don't know. No, if you don't know, say you don't know, because that is what the people are saying. So you all don't know. You all don't have a plan. After the 22nd, you all don't have a plan.
No, I am telling, according to the constitution, what is possible. We will choose what is most appropriate.
Yeah, what is he going to do? Now you are saying he is going to appoint 3 or 4 members to the cabinet.
That is one of the possibilities based on the ground situation.
Let's say hypothetically he appoints 3 or 4 people to the cabinet. Who is it going to be? Harani Fernando, Vijitha Herath is there. Who is the other 2 going to be?
That has to be decided by the Politburo. So I am not competent to answer that question, right? Who is going to be? But
So
I am telling in terms of the...
That is why, Mr. Vijay Bandara, people are saying, you all are talking only until the 21st of September. What is going to happen on the 22nd onwards? Even you all don't know.
No.
Even you don't know.
Why should I tell in advance? Now we are on the
secret.
We are on the pace of We are on the pace of presidential election.
Is that a secret?
We are talking about one figure.
But that is what people want to know. But that is what people want to know.
So you said that Harini Amarsi, Vijitha Herath, there are people. It might be one of them.
So
one of them.
They are not 4 people. They are only 2 people.
But don't you think, Mr.
They are in the parliament. You cannot appoint ministers outside Parliament.
Yeah, so
right?
who's going to be? Who's
so
going to be?
one of them will be.
Will you accept?
Y'all
No,
are
I
saying,
think-
y'all are saying everyone.
will
no,
you-
y'all are saying everyone in the Parliament are corrupt. Yes or no?
Not our members.
Not your members. That is 2, no. So now you are saying that y'all are going to appoint 4 members. So who are the other 2 members who are not corrupt?
So there are 2 others who
There
are
are 2
not.
others because now president is 1.
And then the vacancy has to be filled
Yeah.
immediately.
Yeah.
Right? And also, then there will be 3 plus all together
So
4.
said, who's that 1 person? Tell me that 1 person.
Which
you don't
one?
have a name. No name. You don't know.
I'm not there
it's
to
the
name
secret.
people.
Secret.
The names are known to the public, right?
but-
Names are known to the public. Out of those names, those 4 will be picked.
Sorry.
Right? I don't
but
have to
let me-
nominate
let-
from this table, right?
Yeah,
Let
but
me simplify this. Let me simplify this.
Mr. Vijayabandar, I just want to know
Yeah.
what is the plan you have? 22nd morning, it will be around 4 o'clock, 5
Yeah,
o'clock when
okay,
you all know
yes.
the exact figure. If there is no recount, tell me what is the plan right after that? Tell me, we people want to know
See-
what is
And
Andrew Kumar Dissanayake going to
Vijayabandar,
do?
this is
Yeah.
something that every party needs to tell the people in advance.
What are they going to do?
Yes,
What, you know, yes, SLPP and
Immediately,
any other party which,
appointment of a new cabinet.
Who is going to be in the cabinet?
I'm not saying
we don't
how,
know.
how many members, right? According to constitution, there is a limit. It can be 25, it can be 4, 5 or 6, in between them. I don't have to give a figure, right? That is possible in terms of the constitution.
okay.
Okay? Then you ask about names. Names are known now who are around. We can't borrow from other planet. So names are there, no? You know, now you said Harini. Harini and there are other member of the parliament.
Which they are.
Yes, and then you cannot appoint ministers outside parliament according to Sri Lankan constitution.
is what-
So you are no. Why you asking?
Then
It's
why
known.
should, then why should people appoint the NPP? Because you all don't have a plan already.
Plan is
After
there.
you all are elected to power, it's going to be the same fate that befell the country in 2019.
Why? How do you say that? I mean, it
You all
cannot.
don't even have a simple plan,
It
no.
cannot
After
be
the
a-
22nd on that day, what are you going to do?
This cannot be a political slogan. You all know that we have only 3 members in the parliament, right?
Right?
Don't
What
be,
is- what
don't
is
be
going to
unfair
happen?
by
No,
us,
but
right?
what is going to happen
So
after
we
that?
are. Is it?
Because Mr. Vijayabandar, when I'm asking you about these parliamentary vehicles,
Yes.
you're saying that is going to be done after 5 years.
So that's my answer. Yes.
Yeah. So then I understand
We'll on to
that.
this
But now this
question.
you can't do after 5 years.
No. We are doing.
This is going to happen in the 24
Yes,
hours.
it will happen.
So then what
So
are you going to
what
do?
is the worry? I mean, you know who are
there is
members
no
of
worry,
NPP.
but I want to know.
No, yeah, you know who are the members of MP who are in parliament at
Right,
the moment.
okay,
And
so
you
you're
know that
saying-
once Andrew Kumar Dissanayake become the president, there will be a vacancy.
Vacancy. That-
you
then
know
you
that,
can appoint
that has to be filled.
right.
So altogether, Andrew Kumar Dissanayake plus 3 more members. So that all know, entire country knows.
So the cabinet
I
is going to consist of only 4 people.
3 people.
3 people, no, because
including the
president
president.
can hold a minister
Yes,
cabinet portfolio as well.
It is possible in terms of the constitution. I am asking, this is a legal question, right? President to promulgate a gazette declaring certain powers and functions of the ministries comes under the president. It is happening at the moment right now also. After Manusha Nanayakkara.
Yeah, that's true.
Right, right. So it is possible, right? Then I don't have to clearly set out what is going to do by Andrew Kumar Dissanayake become the president, right? I'm just telling possibilities, right? I'm not the decision maker. So, but you all know who will be the ministers, right? There is
We
no
can't-
hide and seek.
Yeah, but Mr. Vijayabandar, we
So what's
can't have
wrong with
Andrew
that?
Kumar Dissanayake on the show tonight, no.
Yeah.
Right, we can't have him. No,
Okay,
he's very
fine.
busy and all.
But
that.
Mr.
So we have
Vijayabandar-
So you
today-
know that.
and
I'm
he's the
asking
president.
this wrong.
Right.
But this is the issue,
Okay.
right? The people have been
Yes.
asking for throughout the Aragalia and even before that, to
Yes.
be honest, the people have been asking for transparency, accountability, and clarity.
Okay.
As in, tell us exactly what you're going to do, right? And that clarity doesn't seem to come because things are played close to the chest at the very top. And then those, even within the parties, Mr. Mahinda Patirana, of course, is not interested in Amal Rajapaksa's businesses at all. You are not privy to what the JVP's Politburo has been discussing.
NPP.
Sorry, the NPP, with the NPP's National Committee. Or you're not privy to what, maybe they have a plan, you're not privy to it.
Correct. JVP Politburo will be deciding. That's why.
okay.
That is
Mr.
distortion. It's not from
No,
David.
no,
You're-
Mr. Vijayabandar,
And
when-
that worries me because it seems that
No, why? Tarak,
it
why
seems to me
JVP?
that you all are
Why
following
JVP?
blindly.
No,
Yeah.
Tarak, why
I
JVP?
articulate the
That is why-
constitutional possibilities, right? I couldn't pitch.
NPP,
Yeah.
and he would
There is no
know the
difference
future
such.
plan.
It is for
and
SJB only.
it can only be presumed
But that is a possibility. Law from the
JVP,
NPP,
the
the
Politburo,
JVP will
the
only decide.
Tilvin Silvas,
Don't ask
the Bimal
hypothetical. You know
Ratnayakars,
that there will be
the
co-members.
Sunil Hadunnetis
In
will
the
make
parliament.
the decisions, while Harani
That is, he
Amarasuriya,
says no.
Rai Baltasar, Saturanga, Abhay Singh, people of that caliber would be only the
Speculations.
faces, only the faces. That is the worry.
Yeah, that is
If
your
not-
worry.
If not,
Right,
they all must
Mr.
come out
Not the
with
worry
a
of the
clear
Vijayabanga, when
plan.
can we
There has to be some
expect
clarity.
Parliament to be dissolved?
Yes.
Has that been decided?
Now you are forcing me to nominate our prime ministerial candidate. Is it possible? What is the meaning of this question?
But simply
And you are asking who is the minister of such
Now,
blah, blah.
now because
And
Mr.
I can-
Vijay
Finance
Bandara,
Minister.
Mr. Vijay Bandara, I'll tell you why
Can
they
I
are
ask
asking that question.
Finance minister, you have to
Mr.
go over
Vijay Bandara,
parliament and
simply because,
let
No,
the
because
do you
they
have
can
anyone
appoint a
nominated?
Yeah,
cabinet
Mr. Vijay Bandara,
cabinet
I'll tell you why we ask this question,
Yes.
right? When we had Harsha Nanayakar on this show, we asked him who's going to be a prime minister candidate.
Okay.
Then he said it's going to be Harani Amarasuriya.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then a few weeks later, we asked another member from the NPP.
Yes.
Who's going to? Is it Harani Amarasuriya going to be your prime minister
Yes.
candidate?
Yeah.
Then he said no, nothing has been decided.
Okay, fine.
Right. Now we have you today on the show.
Yes.
We are asking you the question, Mr. Vijay Bandara, as a NPP member. Are you aware who is going to be your prime minister? Because usually, Mr. Vijay Bandara, now we run corporates.
Okay.
When we have corporates, we don't put up a plan for 3 weeks. We put up a plan for close to at least 12 to 24 months. We have two things. One is called a short-term plan and one is called a long-range plan, or which is called an LRP.
Yes.
So you all should have something like
Will
that.
you give
The
me 2
country-
minutes without disturbance to answer this?
All right, you answer. You answer.
Right,
I'll give you
right.
2 minutes. Right. Tell
2
me,
minutes, right?
Your time
now,
starts now.
Now, when Mr. Dinesh Gunawardena was appointed Prime Minister, who expected that he is going to be the Prime Minister? It is a decision of that time, political decision, right? And when Mr. Premadas, after the 1989 election, appointed D.B. Vijayasinghe as Prime Minister, was he nominated prior to the presidential election? No, right? Look at the history. And once a president is elected, of course, you can guess who are, because they must come from the parliament. That is perfect, right? So you know who are in the parliament until the next election.
Right.
On behalf of the
So
NPP.
Tarak-
So don't create a problem
Right.
that is there.
Right.
We are not
Tarak,
hiding
who's going to
anything.
be the prime ministerial candidate of the
Same
SJP?
question coming at
Tell us, will you?
Well,
Who's going to be your Minister of Finance?
Because-
Who's going to be
because
your
Vice
Minister of
of
Foreign
Finance,
Affairs?
I can very clearly say Honorable Sajid Premadas has declared that Dr. Harsha De Silva will be his finance minister.
Who's going to be
And-
Minister of Foreign Affairs?
That will be decided among
There's
the
tug of
qualified
war, no?
people. No, there's no tug of war. there's
What
qualified
about the
people.
Prime Minister?
But the crucial issue is the economy.
Prime Minister, you don't have any.
You know the position that the Prime Minister occupies in the Constitution. I don't need to explain you, Shamir, you're well versed with the Constitution, so I don't think that's a very critical issue. But yes, the Minister of Finance, that's right. It's not my
Right, who's the
my
Minister of
place to
Foreign
ask
Affairs?
It can be because we have a set of qualified sitting MPs
Like who?
who several Iran Vikramaratne, Kabir Hashim, so many.
Professor
So
G.L. Pires now who's
Professor
supporting,
G.L.
no?
Pires, yes, why not? So many strong candidates who have had previous experience.
So Tarak, now if you look at the people who have crossed over to the SJB, are you happy with those who have crossed over?
Shamir, let me be very frank with you. Whoever who joins SJB or the broad alliance, Samagi Janasandhanaya, are joining us, accepting the principles and values of the SJB, not vice
However
versa.
much they are corrupt, it's okay.
If you can talk about a specific name, specific
We have
person,
people
I can-
who have been riddled with
I can-
riddled with
my
the
observation.
sports industry. You know, for an example, we have
MP, minister,
a former member of parliament, president in the Sri Lanka Freedom Party.
Is there any possibility of him being elected in the next parliament? Do you think there is a possibility?
No, I don't know. I'm asking you.
So, whoever who comes, I say, if anyone has a corrupt track record, just because they are party to our alliance, and if there is any plausible information or any complaints, there will be an investigation. We believe in eradicating corruption totally.
Even if they know
Even if there's our own member, definitely we would very like it very much to set an example of one of our own members first. I'm saying with a sense of responsibility, because I have been involved in discussions of recovery of stolen assets, the fighting of corruption, all this. So I'm saying with a sense of responsibility that it does not matter who or where that a corrupt person belongs if there is a charge that can be proven before the law.
Caretaker, can I ask you now, because you said that, look, everyone who joins the SJB, they're joining on the understanding that they now align with the SJB's policies and values.
Correct.
Now, let's take just one example, right? The SJB has taken progressive stances on a number of social issues, but let's take one of the probably the biggest statements that your candidate made recently was that he's in favor of the full implementation of the 13th Amendment. And then we had a guest on Face the Nation who said, the leader said that that is the party's policy. So the people that have joined your party recently, let's say Professor G.L. Pires, Dr. Nalka Godeheva, both ex-SLPPers, do they align with this policy?
Do you recall, I don't know whether you were old enough, Professor
the G.L. Neelan package, of course.
The package which
and
was
then
set fire to by under the auspices of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe in Parliament.
And Professor G.L. Pires also had, for the past 20 plus years, Professor G.L. Pires has also conveniently forgotten about the good work that he did with Neelan Tirucheva. That's another point altogether.
You must ask that question from Professor G.L. Pires and not me. It's not fair for me to answer on behalf of Professor Pires.
But can you say that, like all these people that have joined, because you do have a diversity of opinions, so can you say that they are all in alignment with the thinking when it comes to the 13th Amendment, when it comes to issues like LGBTQI rights, when it comes to those, like the progressive stances that your party has taken, are all these people in alignment?
Essentially, it has to be and it will be. There is no doubt, because as I said, I wish to, because we are young and we are new to politics. I am not new, but as young people, as young professionals, we are here to make a change, because we don't believe in making politics a source of income. Of course, that is not to say that the MPs are not to be paid or MPs are not to have any perks at all, zero perks, but we believe in making a change, making a difference, and we believe SJB has been, and thank you for appreciating that, SJB has been very progressive on a lot of aspects, and we will, as the young counterparts or young professionals of the SJB, we will ensure that the party complies. To the best of our ability, we will ensure that the party complies with these values that we've been talking of while we are in opposition. Otherwise, what's the difference we will make from the
Mahinda, what is your plan for a caretaker government? Do you all have any members anymore now?
We have.
How many?
We have enough
who will be your Prime Minister, your Finance Minister and so on?
Frankly, not decided yet. In case Namal Rajapaksa is elected, we have enough members in the Parliament.
How many?
Did come back?
No.
There.
We have member of Parliament working with us at the moment.
The people who are now with the Namal Rajapaksa camp are people who have thrown chili powder and all that. They are okay to run a cabinet?
No, not.
No, he's not there.
No, there are enough members of Parliament at the moment representing SLPP.
How many members?
We have more than 50.
50?
Yeah.
So 900 have crossed over.
That's a lie. That's a lie. Because you are all in a false consciousness that all the SLPP members have crossed over to the
maybe.
Sir?
Some of those 100 are undercover agents.
But it was the president himself who, through the presidential secretariat, said that 92.
No, who's there with
that's a total lie. That's a total lie. In that particular date, on that particular date, actually, there were only 70 members of Parliament where this announcement was made that close to 100 have crossed over.
But why don't we see these 50 people at Namal Rajapaksa stages?
No, they are. I mean, they are in different roles actually. Not only on the, I mean, the political rallies. They have different roles. They are working in the different district in the campaign, and
so they don't want to join Namal Rajapaksa in the campaign trail.
They already in the campaign. They are. I mean, they are representing different roles because they have been allocated different roles.
So
not only
based on the people who we see Tissa Kuttiarachchi in with Namal Rajapaksa. BC Sagara Karyavasam with Namal Rajapaksa.
Is Mr. D.V. Chanaka backing?
Mr. D.V. Chanaka also is backing Namal Rajapaksa.
Yeah. There are many more.
Tell me 7 names.
No, actually, it's not.
7 names.
It's not proper. It's not proper to.
I have
no, for
3.
example, Johnston Pranandu
so
and
4.
so many. And
4.
Sorry?
4 people.
No, it's not proper to. I mean.
So you don't have a number.
No, we have. People. It's not proper to name people. It's,
so
it's
impractical. You can mention the names of the people who are supporting Namal Rajapaksa.
Now, for example, Sanjeev Ediriman.
5.
So there are at the moment.
How many? So why are you taking so long to mention the names? If you have 50 people under your fingertips.
No, we have enough numbers in the parliament. We can, we can ensure that number when, in case we got elected, Namal Rajapaksa elected, we have members
5
to get, not 5.
You said 5 names only.
No,
How can they appoint a prime minister in the parliament without having the majority?
No, it's a caretaker.
In the current, they have the same problem. They have the same problem.
It's a caretaker government.
You all have the same problem also.
No, I'm not going to depend on the parliament. I'm going to
appoint you don't have to have a majority. You don't have to have a majority.
What happened after 2015 election? Maithripal Sirisena won. Immediately he appointed Ranil Wickremesinghe. He had only 46. That's depend on political situation, right? There is
whoever deems fit by the whoever commands the lead in the parliament, the president can appoint him as the prime minister.
And also tendency after an election, where one person is mandated by the entire country. So that respect is there politically. However much they are indisciplined, on those circumstances, our past experience, past practice is that always tolerate. I can explain you on. Under Chandrika, the D.B. Wijetunga was president, Chandrika was prime minister. And then they had a little time until the next election. Then during 2002, Chandrika was the president, Ranil Wickremesinghe was the prime minister. That's also happened. And also even 2015, this happened. So however much they were fighting, once the people mandated either in presidential election or parliament election, that latest election prevailed over other.
I have a question from everyone. Give me a second. I want to ask it from Mr. Vijay Bandara. Only NPP have not got people crossing over to them. However, in case Anil Kumar Dissanayake come to power, will they invite people whom they think are good from other political parties in parliament, join them or accept them for the 3 of them or all others work?
Clearly no. Clearly no.
You won't invite anyone?
From present parliament, no. We want to go before the people for a parliament election. Clearly no.
There is no way?
No way.
So Mr. Vijay Bandara, this is also a concern right now. If, let's say, and these are all, like we're talking about possibilities, this is a definite possibility as well. If Anil Kumar Dissanayake wins the presidential election.
He will win, yeah.
When, or if and when, if or when. And then you have a parliamentary election within, let's say, 3 months after, 3 months from the 22nd of, within 3 months from the 22nd of September, you have the parliamentary election. And then one of these other parties ends up with a majority, not the NPP. Can happen, could happen, right? It's probably anything.
Don't know.
You said earlier, like as we've had. You can say it will not happen. If it does happen, what is your plan? Because it seems to me, from what you're saying, the statements that you're making now, is that the NPP's stance as a whole, when it comes to collaboration and discourse within the political sphere, is we work with ourselves. Everyone else can go away.
Let me answer. That is.
It seems that y'all had that one instance of collaboration with Mahinda Rajapaksa in the first UPFA government. Then the tsunami happened. Y'all protested about the aid being distributed in the north and east, and then y'all left that collaboration. That was your first sort of collaboration.
We introduced the 17th Amendment to the Constitution during that short period, right?
Okay.
That's the best amendment.
And then after that 19th Amendment also, you all voted in favor. So we'll give you those
that
two.
We are consistent.
When you all were in government though in 2004, when it came to donating tsunami relief to people in the north and east, you all abandoned government. True? Because you all didn't want to work with, because let's say, you all didn't want that relief being coordinated through the LTT. Therefore, you all decided to leave the government.
Yeah, according to the Constitution also, it couldn't have been done. LTC was a terrorist organization during that time.
Okay, so during a time of disaster also, when people are dying and half the entire coastline has been flooded and everything distributed, you all will be looking at the Constitution to see whether or not you all can distribute it.
Governance should be in terms of the Constitution. Whatever the disaster you may face, you can't deviate from law and rule, right?
You have to agree with Mr. Vijay on that point, because you cannot channel goods or aid through a terrorist organization.
Mr. Vijay Bandar, let me. So now it seems to me that you are confirming that you won't be able to
be
work
fair,
with
by the
any
fact,
of the
I think by
other-
that time, LTT was not proscribed as a terrorist organization.
During the ceasefire.
They supported Mahinda Rajapaksa when he was accused of
you ask a question
tsunami
that
But it seems that
people
you
are
all are very
listening.
rigid.
No, you are trying to assume that NPP won't get majority of parliament. I have to clarify that, right? That you start asking.
But that's not a guarantee.
No, right? You will say it's not guarantee. Now, what will happen is, after the presidential election, once Anurag Kumar wins, that shows the majority of the people. I mean, you are saying
But
that.
then you yourself said just a few minutes ago that, look, this election is about the one person who's running. So then Anurag Kumar is not going to be running at the parliamentary election.
But we have people to run. We don't have
so
to
that's what I'm saying.
join with other parties who are
right? So then you're
blamed for
talking about
corruption.
different people.
Why should we?
So the general election will be not just about your party, but also about the people running from the party.
Yes.
And in the same case for the other parties as well. So
Right.
when
So what's
you
the
say
problem?
that,
225,
so you're saying there's no
225.
possibility whatsoever that you all won't have a majority. Therefore, you all
Definitely
don't
we
even
will
have a
going
plan
to have
for if you all don't get a majority.
That's your view.
So I just want to pick the four of your brains on with regard to digitizing the countries. We spoke to Oshal about it. I want to ask Taraka, what is the plan in terms of digitizing the country's economy? Because we're talking about buzzwords like artificial intelligence, robotics, all the algorithms, how algorithms are going to play a key role, deep machine learning. We hear these buzzwords now coming into the fray, especially from forums that are being organized by the SJB. Are these just merely buzzwords, or are you really going to implement these at the end of the day? Because even blockchain, for that matter, is a big buzzword right now that we speak of.
Shamir, in a broad, I'm not a professional in any of those sectors, but in a broader sense, again, I had to answer that we are firmly committed to keep up with the global trends in all aspects where we could practically do that. Digitization can be at different levels and for different purposes. A, for economic gains, B, for efficiency, again resulting economic gains, C, for the convenience of the general public. Say if you digitize the local government system, I mean all these approvals, COCs, all that. So it's a very wide spectrum, but in general I can tell you that we SJB, as Nadeem pointed out, have been a very progressive party, and this is also part of that progression, and I believe we are firmly committed to...
Taraka, if you are such a progressive party and all that, you say that you all are very quick in terms of making decisions, am I right? Are you all quick in making decisions?
You ask a question.
No, I'm asking, are you all quick in making decisions?
We try to be.
Because that is one of the points that was even now told in a political forum, saying that Sajid Premadasa ran like in the Olympics when he was offered the post of Prime Minister. So is he quick to make decisions?
No, is your question
No,
about
is he quick to make decisions? That's my question. First question is that.
Is it the speed of the decision or the quality of the decision? You have to look
quality
at both.
and the speed of the decision.
Yes.
How long? Let's say, can he make a decision within 1 week?
This depends on the decisions. I mean,
Right.
there are
So let me be very
as you
precise.
said, when you lead a corporate, there'll be short
Let me be
rephrase
very
it. It's
precise.
not
Let me be
clarity
very,
like Nadeem
when you're
asked from
running
some clarity.
when you're running a corporate Targa, you don't take 1 week to make decisions. But
No, that's the
anyway,
thing.
but I'll
Like-
ask you the question.
Like long-range plans.
Yeah.
You,
I'll ask you the question.
correct, yeah.
Now,
Ask the question.
there is a seat left vacant in Parliament after Harin Fernando was removed from the post.
Yes.
Why is the SJB still waiting nearly 2 weeks now to appoint a nationalist member of Parliament from the SJB?
So, I mean, to be honest, national. If it was a now there were 2 vacancies created.
No, automatically we know that. That's understood.
Next in line had was.
That's
elected,
understood. That's
right.
understood.
So we are running an election campaign, and there is, I don't see because none of the legislation are being brought about. There's nothing to oppose. Parliament is only being. I think there's only one more sitting on the 3rd of September. There's one sitting on the 21st, if I was not mistaken. There's no new legislation to be brought, so there is no prejudice caused to our role in opposition by not appointing a member. And there are several names that have been, I think, circulating in media, including Hirunika, who would naturally succeed to Parliament when Mr. Sajid Premdasa becomes the president. He's the next in line. So it's I don't see any prejudice caused to our role in opposition by not appointing a member of Parliament for the vacancy created by Harin.
So, doesn't this prove a point of the opposition, like especially Ranil Wickremesinghe, who's saying that Sajid Premdasa ran the marathon even faster than the Olympic runners when he was told to govern the country?
We can see how Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, at which pace Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe is going to run after the humiliating defeat he's going to suffer. I don't know that he'll be number 3 or 4 now. Looking at Mr. Mahinda Patirana's remark, I feel like his candidate might be fighting for the 3rd place. So
Mahinda, you all have already accepted defeat.
No, not at all. No, I think that's that's his opinion.
What is
Actually,
the block vote that Mahinda Rajapaksa has?
Right.
Mahinda Rajapaksa, because Mahinda Rajapaksa is the father,
No.
so he has to have a block vote.
Shamir-
That block vote will be translated.
Bloc belongs to Mahinda.
Shamir, we are
Family politics.
Yeah.
Shamir, we are the party that delivered result most in this country from
And, you all,
2000.
and there was you all built highways in the country.
Not
Even
highway.
in New York.
Living standard, living.
So highways
As
you all
I mentioned at the
you all
very
built
outset.
infrastructure. You all built
we-
infrastructure
No.
at a cost. Even in New York, you would have built
No.
2 highways.
No, they just exaggerated figures, I mean, pictures. We took the per capita income from 1,200 to 3,000, that 3-fold per capita income, okay? After the independence, just check
Understood.
figures, okay? After the
We
independence.
saw how the central bank books were.
And we
manipulated.
brought down, no, there is no any distortion of fact.
No, this
Please
was
check
told
with,
after
you can
2015.
just now check with the
This was
central
told
bank,
by- this was told
IMF,
by-
World Bank.
This was told
They-
by those who were appointed in 2015.
No, now check with the World Bank data, check with the IMF data. The world recognized data. I mean, portals are there on the internet, you can check with. No, this is the consciousness that has been created in this country. We are the party, we are the political movement that has delivered most in this country. Even during the last government, okay, we rescued the country from the pandemic. We were commended by international organization for saving lives. I mean, we are the country that introduced the what we call the vaccination program, the first in the South Asia, okay, and we introduced vaccine well before other countries like New Zealand and Australia. So we save life, okay. We save life, but while saving lives, we could not.
Were you in the queues to get the vaccine? Were you there?
There were queues. There were queues. Actually, that very important matter. Nowadays,
We were all journalists at the time, and as we recalled and reported very factually, our vaccination program was an absolute disaster.
No, he
He said in Sinhalese, අපි තමයි හොඳටම කරේ. අපි කියන කවුරුත් කතා
That's
කරන්නේ
true.
නැහැ.
That's true. That's true. Because
හොඳටම
you,
කරලා
you
තියෙනවා
check
රටේ අනාගතය
it. You check with World Health Organization (WHO). They commended our vaccination program. They commended our methods of curbing the pandemic.
So right. So now you're taking
So
now.
that
They
Dam-
also,
Dhammika
Mr.
Panya-
Patriana, they also said that you don't have to cremate the dead, but you all went ahead and followed the advice of some pseudoscientists. Then you all went ahead and burnt.
No, at
a
that
lot of
time
people
we
as
had
well.
we, no.
Hurting
you know,
entire
you know,
one of the
Mr.
community.
Patriana,
no.
You,
No, no,
the,
we-
the
we
president
had
has
to
already
follow
tendered
the
an apology for this.
the
I think
ideas.
that the
We
least
had
that the
to- we
SLPP
had
can
to
do is
follow the,
follow suit and tender
expertise.
an apology. Because you weren't following any expertise. You didn't have a single virologist on any of those committees that you all were listening to pseudoscience.
No, it was a committee headed by a virologist.
Against
Yeah.
mandatory cremation.
It was quackery.
And there were more than 10 reports
No.
from
Yeah.
the doctors saying
So-
that,
so
but-
my-
There were so
but
many.
all that was wrong.
Yeah, that's wrong. Okay, there was the medical committee. The medical committee appointed by Mr. Gotabaya Rajapaksa recommended. I mean, there
So
there were professors.
Mr. Patriana, you know,
No,
the,
but
ju-
the
the,
difference
the
between
the
doctor and
justice
virologist.
And
Mr.
he was
Patriana,
again
Yeah.
holding
Mr.
a
Gota,
No,
placard in the-
Mr. Patriana, Gotabaya Rajapaksa,
There was a
Justice
public
Minister,
outcry
the
against
Justice Minister at the time, Ali Sabri, has now gone on record and said
Yeah.
that that policy was the result of racism.
Exactly.
And he has said that very clearly on the big screen.
Now only.
I think.
Now.
Yeah.
In the
While
aftermath.
tolerating and endorsing during
The
that.
president has officially tendered an apology
The
for it. I
public-
think the least that the
I know.
SLPP can do is to follow suit.
You know, we campaign against this public outcry. There was a campaign in the country.
campaigned?
We
Who
ourselves.
was we? You.
I mean, myself and many others in the. I mean, attached to
But
that
you
government.
don't even know what Rama Rajapaksa is doing.
No, this is it's a different matter. No, it's. I mean, Shamir.
Yeah.
Just to be. I mean, honest by. I mean, to be.
No, were you in the party at that time?
I was in the party.
Right.
And
So-
we campaign against.
what about
I mean,
Dhammika Pani-
I mean,
the Dhammika Panya?
the measures taken. I mean, against the cremation of Muslim. I mean,
the Dhammika Panya.
Dhammika Paniya was
When
I mean,
Pavitra Banyaratchi
well before
this-
introduction of vaccination. Okay,
But
it was
still
at the
promoting
beginning
something
of
that is
the
very
pandemic.
responsible.
There was no vaccination at that time.
There was vaccination.
No,
at that time.
no, not at all.
Absolutely
It-
there
no,
was.
It was not available in
vaccination
Sri
came in
Lanka.
2021. Vaccination came in 2021. This Dhammika Paniya was in 2020.
But still it is irresponsible
There was
to
no
promote
any
something like that.
vaccination at that time.
That's not true. That's not true.
That-
Mike.
no,
see,
that- that's the
okay.
truth.
That's not true.
Okay,
That's not true.
regardless, is it, like as Mr. Hera pointed out, is it irresponsible to promote something like that?
What?
For the health minister to be
Unscientific,
promoting
yes.
unscientific
If
remedy.
it was
No,
the
because
indigenous
we also-
minister, it was okay.
Mr. Hera, we also
It was
saw
the-
this happening. That's it. There was a lot of
All
misinform-
over the
during the
world.
COVID-19
Nadeem.
pandemic. There was a lot of. I mean, I remember seeing a study from France that said that again false.
Yeah.
That these are fringe studies. Let's say that was arguing that nicotine was helping boost
You know,
immunity against this thing.
Trump,
We had the
President
tea
Trump-
industry. The tea
President
industry
Trump
was also saying.
suggesting some other, I mean, measures like.
He was talking about not ivermectin, sorry, hydroxychloroquine. But then we also had people talking about how you should drink tea because tea would like boost. I mean, tea does have its health benefits,
Yeah,
but
so-
it's not
so-
a
so
vaccine.
just to
but
correct
as the
you-
health minister, what I'm asking is it irresponsible to be promoting that kind of
No,
thing? As the
health minister did not promote Dhammika Paniya. Health minister, what she did was, I mean, doing that pots into the, I mean, river
Reverse,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
No,
that-
she
No,
went
in
and-
Parliament,
she
she
went
was
and
worse than
sampled-
speaker.
In that
She
verse,
went and
promoting
sampled the
Dhammika
Dhammika
Paniya.
Paniya
You know,
also.
scientific
Inside
that.
Parliament.
Yeah.
Inside
Now that health
Parliament.
minister is
They-
supporting
you know-
President
you know-
Ranil Wickremesinghe.
Yeah,
Like
you know-
Mahindananda Lutgamge
you
did
know,
not
there are-
want to
there are- yeah,
fall
you know,
asleep until
all the
Mr. Wickremesinghe was
Now,
incarcerated for the
there are alternative
Central bank fraud.
medical ways. I mean, all over the world, those alternatives.
But don't
were
do that.
tested.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
No, no.
Because it's public. public
Mr.
at the end of the
Patirana,
day.
it's very difficult
Because
to
don't
rewrite
do that.
history. It's
Yeah.
very difficult to rewrite history when there are 3 journalists with nearly 100 years experience sitting here.
But don't do that because you know why I'm saying that, Mahinda.
No,
Even
we
Elias
didn't
the
do
White-
that.
Elia-
We didn't
Elia-
do that.
So
We didn't do
that
that.
was your minister. What you're doing is you're
We
cherry
didn't do
picking.
that.
You're cherry picking the good things that happen and then you're saying the bad things have happened because of these
No,
individuals. Don't
all
do that.
over the
Don't do
world
that.
these things happen.
Yeah, but don't do
Alternative
that.
medical methods were
You can't,
tested.
you
I mean,
can't
That
hold
was
people
all
responsible.
responsible.
Don't do that.
But
Yeah.
Mr. Pathan, what I'm saying,
Because it was-
testing alternative medical methods is fine when you have government officials promoting it. Because in the US as well, Donald Trump talking about hydroxychloroquine or
Yeah.
ivermectin or whatever it was, that was very irresponsible.
because nobody
No,
knew.
his own medical professionals are
let's
saying that
leave
it's
the
very
discussion aside, but don't hold people accountable or responsible for the bad actions of a government in play. Look at what has happened to the country. You all were supporting the candidate of Ranil Wickremesinghe. Minister Kheri Ramukwella is now in jail, right? Who's responsible? People have lost their eyesight. Who is responsible? Are you responsible?
No,
Is Nama Rajapaksa responsible? Are you going to compensate the people who have lost
No,
their eyesight?
he has-
Don't do
No,
that.
no,
He has not
You
been
can't mislead the public.
convicted.
No, don't do that.
He
Don't
has
do
not
that.
been convicted yet. No,
Right.
we don't know we
right,
don't know
okay,
the judicial matter.
This is what
you know?
in Sri Lanka, every politician who comes on the show, when we ask whether your camp is corrupt, you know what they say? Very easy to say. They say there is no conviction yet. What we believe as journalists is if the integrity of a politician is questioned on fair remarks, then that politician is not fit to run the country. That's all. We'll leave it at that.
Just because an
Right.
allegation has been leveled, I mean, it should not be. It should
Look
not
at-
disqualify a
Right.
politician.
And mind, you're entitled for your
Fine.
opinion. You're
No.
entitled for your opinion.
Just
As I
because-
say,
no.
this is not
I don't
a show.
subscribe to that
This
view.
is this is
I don't
not
subscribe
this is not.
Now, for
this is
example,
not-
I can level level an
I
allegation
say
against you.
founded.
and does this?
You know,
does this?
when Sri Lanka
in-
Central Bank was founded, John Exter was the governor of the central bank. He said at that time, if the integrity of a person who is holding the post of governor in a central bank is questioned, that person is not fit
Question by
to
what?
run.
Question by what?
Question. He's not even mentioning by what. He's saying question.
Yeah, that's
if the integrity
meaningless,
is questioned,
meaningless. It has to
John
be
Ex- yeah,
questioned
never mind, never
through
mind.
a
Anyway.
legal procedure.
Right, yeah,
Then you
yeah,
can't.
Right. It's okay. It's okay.
Otherwise-
I can imagine when your government comes into play, what a sort of country we'll have in the future. But that's okay. You're entitled for your opinion. Let the public decide
This
as
is
to whether
very-
they have to vote
very
for.
unreasonable by
No.
you to say that.
Let the
just
people
because
decide.
an allegation has
Let the
been
people
made
decide.
that he is guilty of that.
No, let the
allegation.
people. Yeah, let the people decide.
Yeah.
Let the people decide
Need
whether
be
your candidate is fit to run for president. Let the people decide whether Sajid Premadas is fit to run the presidency. Let people decide whether Oshale Herath is the person who is supposed to run for president in the country, or is it Anukumar Dissanayake as well. So I want to close today's session, but I want to understand what is the way forward for Sri Lanka. As to what you would do when you are elected to power, and why should people vote you in to lead the next 5 years. So let's start off with Mahinda Patirana representing the SLPP. You have 2 minutes.
Yeah. Today, this time we have introduced the youngest candidate in the political history of Sri Lanka as our presidential candidate. I think he is the well-deserved candidate, the most deserved candidate at the moment. He has wealth of experience in running a government, in running a country, and he understands the problems, issues facing the nation. And since he's a young person, his caliber to deliver, especially to the young people, we witnessed so-called Aragale those days. Aragale was asking for young people to come out and do politics. Now we have given that person to the nation. So I think we have to start from the time we finish in 2015. The only solution for this country is take back this economy on the track. Okay, we had an economy in 2015 growing at more than 6%. Okay, but after the change of government, after Yahapalana regime came into power, that growth rate continuously fell, and by 2019 it was less than 2%. Actually, it is the economic base that can solve most of the problems facing the country.
So if you start from where we ended in 2015, we can build this nation again with this experience, caliber of Mr. Namal Rajapaksa to a level nobody can take it back to a position where, I mean, what we experienced in 2020 to 2022, actually we focus on investment and digitalization, creation of job for young people and all those things, okay? And we are confident of building that economy, and we are confident of bringing again the prosperity to this nation with the experience and the tradition that we have delivered in the past, okay? I think people will understand now there is a false consciousness that has been created in this country, and this SLPP government is wholly responsible for the economic crisis. As I mentioned, as I very clearly mentioned at the very outset, it is a historical issue that this country faced way from 1950s, immediately after the independence.
Thank you very much.
So
yeah,
I
quickly,
think
Mr.
taking all this into consideration, we ask without going into unrealistic political dreams, okay? We ask people to stick with realistic political aspiration of the country. We can deliver.
Thanks a lot. Thank you very much, Mahinda Patirana, representing the SLPP, J. Vijay Bandara, representing the NPP.
Yeah, the National People's Power is the only party who has maintained integrity, stability and discipline as a political party. It is the only existing political party which has not been diluted because of this current crisis. And economic, health, education or whatever it is, what has gone wrong is in the process of decision making. It is corrupt, it is biased, decisions are taken based on nepotism. So what matters foremost for the country is to ensure the decision making process into the proper track. For that purpose, we must ensure rule of law in this country. That is the foremost condition of entire our policy statement. Without rule of law, there can't be disagreement between executive and legislature, legislature versus judiciary. So these things are lacking at the moment. You would have experienced during last 2-3 months. Even Minister of Justice himself criticized judiciary in Parliament under the cover of parliamentary powers and privileges. That even President recently said that he is not worried about that he is found responsible for violating election rights of the people. These are the unethical practice we have had during last 2 years, mainly. Under this unconventional government has created the entire system of parliament collapse, entire system of cabinet collapse. They take every decision and the Supreme Court reverses so many decisions. Therefore, we will promise without earning or generating any money, there are certain things that we can achieve in a flash. That is to establish rule of law in this country, restore the normal democratic way of parliament and restore the more democratic cabinet of ministers that is opposed after the parliamentary election. Thereafter only we can think of any decision making. And being Andhra Kumar Disanayaka, who had possessed more than 30 years experience in parliament, he is among the candidates. He also experienced person, not inexperienced person. He know in and out what was happening during the last 30 years. So he will lead the country to get this country out of this trouble.
Right. Thank you very much, Mr. J. Vijay Bandara. Tarak, I have a question for you because I want to pose this question for you. I think it was very relevant, posed by one of our viewers. Please explain to us if there is a caretaker government after an election, will Sajid Premadasa give priority for people like GLP Ranjit Bandara, Lakshman Kiriyalla, his aged clan, or will he give priority to the young, the youth of the country, who the Aragale wanted?
Well,
So you can
Shamir-
start as approach to that. Yeah.
Well, Shamir, I think it's a very interesting question, but when it, as the phrase goes, it's a caretaker government, and it will be for a period of 5 to 8 weeks, I believe, a maximum of 2 months, for the purpose of running the country during the elections. Unlike the present government of Mr. Ranil Wickremesinghe, which is in the making continuous attempts to make backdoor dealings whilst there's an election going on, the caretaker government of Honorable Mr. Sajid Premdas, when he becomes the president, would be a caretaker government in the true sense of that word, and the cabinet of ministers that will come in place after the general elections, I can assure you, will have several young faces, because SJB has so many young MPs who have completed 2 terms, who have started parliament in 2010 and 2015, who have, by getting elected for the next parliament, completed 2 terms. Young and experienced team, and also we will be fielding several professionals both on the electoral level and in the national list, few of whom will get elected in the national list. And we are not, I'm not talking about the caretaker government, but when we establish government under Honorable Sajid Premdas' presidency, it will definitely have many young faces, not only as the Aragale demanded, but as the world global trend demands, where the heads of state and the members of the cabinet or the governing bodies have, the average age has come down drastically, which we see as a very positive measure. And being the progressive party that we are, we intend, SJB intends to have a young and experienced government.
Thank you very much,
Shamir.
Tariq Ranakar, representing the SJB. Tariq is also an attorney at law, by the way, for the record. I now move my attention towards Oshul Herath, presidential candidate, New Independent Front.
In 2019, most of these alternative candidates, because I was in the alternative cabinet, they thought when they win, they can rule. But it is proven now that even though you win, you can't rule unless you deliver. So I am a candidate who understands this. So I have a solid plan, which I believe will work. And you can't expect textbook answers from me, because I am not an ordinary candidate like from a leading party or with a huge majority. Once I get elected, I will have to improvise, and I have to come with new methods to face these challenges of interim governments, caretaker governments, and all those things. And the reason why I will succeed is because I will have no biasness when selecting the right person to do the jobs, because I have no biasness towards party or any other thing. I will select good people and the talented people who will come forward and who will volunteer to do the jobs, like starting from selecting the secretaries and other relevant institutions. And there was enough reasons that came up during this meeting why certain candidates are not suitable. I want to bring one reason why I don't select Sajid Premdas. This is the special audit report on operations of the Central Cultural Fund. And if you go through this during his time of being the minister, the way he has managed the fund, I have no confidence that he will do a better job being the president. So that is one reason. And everything as to from the taxes and all that will be there, and I will not publish any fairy tale like manifestos. I will have clear-cut answers for all these things. So this is one reason. And if somebody thinks I am not suitable, then those ordinary people, they are actually saying that they are not suitable to come into power.
Thank you very much, Oshul Herath, presidential candidate from the New Independent Front. We wish you all the very best at the 21st September elections. Thank you very much, Attorney at Law Tariq Ranakar, representing the SJB. Thank you very much, J. Vijay Bandara, representing the NPP, and thank you very much, Mahinda Patirana, representing the Sri Lanka Pojana Parliament as well, for joining us this evening on the show. We post questions because of the interest of the public. We are just 3 weeks away from the polls, so there's no hard feelings because we want to get the best out of the candidates to ensure that the people make the right choice at the 21st September elections. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening on the show. We respectfully thank the four of you for taking time off from your campaigns and attending the show tonight. Thank you very much, Niresh Litambi, Consultant Director at Newsfirst. Thank you very much, Nadeem Majid. And thank you very much for those who posed your questions from our panelists tonight. I tried to take the best out of those questions. We got at least around 1,100 SMSs coming on board to pose questions, but we can only take around 5 or 6 questions. We try to take the best questions out of them. But thank you very much for watching Face the Nation and being connected as always. I leave you tonight with a quote, as I always do. We should all be concerned about the future because we will have to spend the rest of our lives there. Take care and good night. Take your vote, take your concern to the polling booth on the 21st of September. Take care and good night.